trash? What's in the trash? Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? What's in the trash? Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study. Trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study.
So people are going through the trash. So people are going through the trash. They're sorting the trash. There are companies going through trash. They're sorting the trash. There's people sorting trash. It happens, and this is what they do. 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 They're sorting the trash. There's people sorting trash.
I wouldn't want my bag to be one of those bags.
This is what they do.
I wouldn't want my bag to be one of those bags.
They do. It happens. This is what 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 they do. Happens. This is what they do. It 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 happens. This is what happens. This is what happens. This is what they do. It happens. This is what they do.
Bags of trash and trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, part of the zero waste program to see what's in the trash, 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 trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, what's in the trash, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study, trying to figure out, I guess, doing some kind of a study.
So people are going through the trash. So people are going through the trash. They're sorting the trash. There are companies going through trash. They're sorting the trash. There's people sorting trash. It happens, and this is what they do. 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 They're sorting the trash. There's people sorting trash.
I wouldn't want my bag to be one of those bags.
This is what they do.
I wouldn't want my bag to be one of those bags.
They do. It happens. This is what they do. what they do. It happens. This is what they do.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Worcester Council Theater 3000. I'm back. I missed you all. I just couldn't do it anymore. I couldn't drive the buses. I got really tired of everybody saying, "Oh, here comes the hot bus driver." So I just had to get out of there. If you didn't see me driving a city bus, well then I'm sorry, you missed it. And you'll have to wait until I'm desperate again, and then I'll be driving some other form of conveyance, I'm sure. Maybe a pedicab.
Any good bus stories, Bryan?
Last night, Troubler, I don't even know where the Pride background is. Again, I haven't been around.
I thought I had it up.
The Pride?
Yeah.
I didn't know we had such a thing.
Yeah, I didn't either. To me, it's Pride every day of the year, so I guess I just don't need a background.
All
so.
right, you freaking kiss ass. Whoa, look at that.
Cool.
Oh, my water.
Last night I saw two guys chasing a third guy in the street trying to fight him. And the guy tried to hide on the other side of the bus, so I just kept driving because I didn't want to get involved. Couldn't tell who was good guy, couldn't tell who was bad guy, so I just got the hell out of there.
You could have fought them both.
That's probably the right move.
Yeah, I don't know. Just let them. They seem to have it figured out. Drove Fred Nathan 60% of the days that I worked.
So
Nice.
sick.
Yeah. Met Andrew Marsh in person on my bus. Very,
Dude,
very
best.
exciting day. That was the best. Yeah, it was overall pretty great. Gotta say, great company.
Is there
Everyone-
some kind of bus driver code where you are not? It's unethical to talk about like where some of these folks go.
How so?
I'm
Like-
just curious. Like, can you talk about like where does a guy like Andrew Marsh go when he's on the bus, or where does a guy like Fred Nathan? Where do they take
Fred
him?
Nathan goes fucking everywhere. Let me tell you, that guy is moving and shaking.
He's been everywhere, man.
Yeah, he's riding across the city to go to the grocery store. Literally, legit across the city.
That's sick.
Yeah, you get the best produce.
Yeah, well, yeah, I guess so.
Which one does he go to?
I saw him go to Stop and Shop on Grafton Hill from Tatnick.
Oh, going to that? Oh, jeez. That's the worst grocery store. No, actually, the Price Chopper in Grafton Hill is the worst grocery store.
The Price Chopper on Grafton Hill is the worst grocery store.
I was gonna put my money on that's where Fred goes because he likes.
I
the
thought he'd
most
go to
of those.
Price Right.
Yeah,
You know, at least if you're traveling, go get a deal.
that's right. Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's the bus is amazing. There is a predictable but distressing dynamic that occurs there where everybody that works for the WRTA hates the free fare and despises people for that wouldn't normally be taking the bus that get to take it because it's free. So that's a bummer, but I think it's beautiful. I think it's a beautiful system. I loved all my passengers. I had a great time. I'm absolutely going to go back someday for sure.
Yeah.
I encourage people to take the WRTA if you have you got 30 minutes on either side of your trip that you can spare, because those schedules are not designed based on real world conditions. So
Yeah.
the union seems to officially support it. I'll tell you, in the room it doesn't sound like they do.
That's a weird
But,
thing to be mad about. The too many people are getting on the bus.
I know.
Like,
I know.
that's
You know what it
too
is?
much
I
job
really,
security.
I think it's a domino effect that like the schedules are tough to keep. Even if you don't care, it's natural to want to keep on your times. Like it is a pressure, and on certain routes, it's legitimately is impossible. Like I drove the 15 route last week, which goes out to Shrewsbury, and you cannot be closer than 20 minutes late on that. It just legit does not work. And so it's, if it becomes stressful, and then you get mad at people for, being slow to get on or off, or to be, it's it's natural, but it sucks. But I had such a blast. I truly had a wonderful time. Some delightful weirdos ride the bus every day.
I kind of want to. I want to give it a shot. I do.
Do it, dude. I'm telling you, they do. It's a DOT job, so they do piss test you. You cannot do drugs.
All right, never mind.
Yeah, that is the one. Yeah, but other than that, it's great. They honestly, the company pays pretty well. They get a free CDL, which you can keep for life. And
that's sick.
They're about to get a new contract in September. That's like gonna be their starting pay is gonna be like almost $30 an hour.
Huh.
Which is yeah. I can pass a drug test. I'm substance free these days.
All right, we got the feed up. Hey, so what? Yeah, one thing on the agenda today: city manager evaluation. I just had the great pleasure of reading the amazing 19-page document that I should have read probably on Friday, but whatever. The city manager evaluating himself. Now, Bryan and Brendan, do you think? Because I can trust that you guys have not read this thing.
Definitely not.
Do you think that the manager evaluated himself in any way, shape, or form?
No,
I do not. You're right. He just lists various things that have happened and claims them as accomplishments. One of them being the Claro music video, which he had nothing to do with. Absolutely zero to do with.
That we should be. If that's the case, then we should hire Drew Cordero as our city manager, because that's the guy that's responsible for that.
Fucking why not?
Why not?
And the evaluation form, the evaluation rubric for the city councilors is pretty funny. It's a Mo Bergman invention. The scoring system is insane. Let me pull it up. I can't even describe it without looking at it. It's it's a points system.
Mm-hmm.
It's in each category, I believe, is out of 120 points. And I don't know who gets to do the math on this, but not that it matters, because they don't set any formal expectations for the man. So there's nothing to measure him against. It is all vibes. 100% vibes.
Welcome to our new subscriber, Our Lady of Chicken Alfredo. What just a phenomenal screen name.
Our Lady of Chicken Alfredo?
Yeah.
Wow, that is great.
Nice.
Delicious.
Welcome.
So for some reason, I still can't access the chat. So I'm going to put this Google Drive link in the private chat where we make fun of you all.
Swaro, I don't know what route. I have 3 more shifts left before I'm officially done. I don't know what routes I'm driving yet. I'll blast it out on social media for the rest of the week once I get my shifts. So if anybody wants to come ride the bus, then I will be very psyched to have you on board.
Should get the whole team together.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. You guys gotta come down.
Brian, do they have any policies against social media stuff as a bus driver?
Yeah, DOT wise, you can't have any electronic devices on you, but I don't know that. And technically, I'm not supposed to be distracted while driving, but
Sure.
Other than that, I don't think that there's anything official. And
You
You could make that your identity online if you wanted to, in theory.
Yeah, I did think about starting a bus driver memes account.
All right, so this is the evaluation form. Section 1 is on skills.
Have they started? They haven't started yet, have they?
No, I have that. I have it pulled up, and they have not started. Just one agenda item, which I find very odd, but I guess they just want to get out of here because they're not going to meet again. Lucky for them, lucky for us, lucky for everyone. Not meeting again till July 15th.
Yeah, we're gonna have a break here, folks.
I love how much room this leaves for the supporting narrative. You can write 3 words on the city manager's hard skills, 3 words on his management skills, 2.5 words on team building.
Hey,
Team building.
thanks, Ruben.
What the? Okay, so it's less complicated than I thought. Every score is out of 25, and then the 180 to 200 outstanding, 160 to 129 exceeds
Thanks,
expectations.
Eric. That is like Dewey Decimal System level of complicated. Those numbers. Like,
Yeah, it's and this one's randomly out of 10 for some reason. So the rest of them are out of 25, but this one's out of 10 because like they couldn't think of 5 more categories on the rubric. I mean, it's just like this is all like city councilors have very little to offer in terms of expertise on many of these things, like blue spaces. Are you like what? Oh, here we go. We're in.
He's gonna create more blue spaces.
Yeah. He's making more rivers and streams. Everyone, make sure you've checked out my new city council banger if you haven't yet. Nostradamus. Another George Russell inspired.
I thought this was one of your songs for 1 second.
Yeah.
Oh yes, hell yeah, we're getting
the flag.
Go hug it, somebody.
So, oh my God, if somebody hugged the flag during this part.
Last Tuesday I dropped Fred off at City Hall before the city council meeting. Yeah.
Did you wish him good luck?
So get after it, buddy. This is a new angle.
Yeah, I don't quite like it. Who do we got back there? Oh, we got Sam Turkin back there. He's been going in person lately.
Yeah.
POV, you are the flag. That's awesome. Yeah, public safety was hilarious. Meeting started at 5. It was over by 5:20. Kate Toomey put one agenda item on concerning it was the police union's request for the full report. And then she just read an email from Rick Cipro that he sent this morning. It was like, hey, we support filing that like petition that we put on in December. And then she was just like, okay, any questions? And then, Tom and John gave him the business. David Webb led on that he is now in Olympia.
Roll call.
Which is
Councilor Bergman
interesting.
here. Councilor Calorio.
Here.
Councilor Agia.
Here.
Councilor King.
Here.
Councilor Merrill Carlson. Councilor Nguyen. Councilor Ojeda. Here. Councilor Basillo.
Here.
Councilor Russell.
Oh, I thought they disabled chats.
Councilor Toomey. Mayor Petty.
Here.
Oh, they did.
Is Ben watching our show in the front row there? Is that Ben White watching our show?
I hope it is
Thank
Ben.
you, Mr. Mayor. So Rule 39.
Ben,
items of public
flex for the
input
camera.
at every meeting of the city
Hey,
council
Ben,
under public
next
participation
time when we
portion
say,
of the agenda, the
just
charter-
give a
the chair
shaka
shall
over your
recognize
shoulder.
Any person speaking.
Give a little shaka.
Such
Yeah,
recognition
just give us one
for the
good
purpose of
shaka.
addressing the council on any eligible item on the agenda for the meeting. Any person who
How's
wishes
our
to speak
levels
on
here
more than one
today?
agenda item
Turn
shall
it back
combine
up.
their testimony on all items at one appearance at the microphone. The time for speaking shall not
Subtitles
exceed 2
only
minutes for
option,
any one
just
speaker,
off.
or 30 minutes for all
They're
speakers.
so annoying.
Okay. Thank you. State your name, see your residence, and just one item. So.
Yes, Fred Nathan Worcester. So there only is one item tonight.
Come on, Ben,
Fred
do the
Nathan
shaka.
like I said, Worcester. So I was one of the original people.
Is he? I can't
that,
tell.
supported.
Nah,
city
he
manager
was on
come up here
X, the everything
every
app.
single week. So having said that, we've had these
That was nice of Fred to take credit
DOJ
for
report hanging over the city.
appointing the city
By
manager.
virtue of you being the chief executive
Well,
officer slash city
Blasting
manager
the visitor
slash
badge
police
to show
commissioner,
that he's in
you are the
compliance.
police chief's boss. This is not going to go
He's just
away
never gonna stop
anytime.
wearing that
This is
thing.
going to be something that's always going to be. I know it's not your fault. You weren't in charge, but you are now. I think every time that they don't have their report go forward
What
and
are you
let people
talking
speak
about,
on
dog?
it, it's going to hurt you. It's going to hurt your legacy. So I hope we can get around that somehow and actually have this.
Can you guys see my pointer?
Report.
Yeah.
I think it will be good.
This guy right
thing to
here is
heal the
very
city
interesting to me.
Going forward,
Who's that guy?
as far as
I don't
you
know,
as
but
a
he's
city
intriguing.
manager, I have no issues. I think you've done your job for the most part, but there's always going to be things.
His neck
like,
is wider than his head.
The DPW.
That's pretty interesting.
It is.
And
Yeah.
the snow plows in the winter.
The
fact that we need
the chef
more
in,
firefighters, we need more police,
episode
because you're
1.
about to lose in the next year and next 15 months. You're going to lose 75 cops.
Dexter Jetster?
I hope you're.
Dude, you don't
ready,
know his name.
to
That's
have
not
I
his name.
absolutely
classes
fucking do.
to get
It is episode
firefighters
2, but I know who
in
you're
city,
talking about.
police.
Dude,
Or
I
you
had
might
the
have to
episode
call
wrong.
them
Oh,
the
yeah.
state
Dexter,
national
dude,
guard
Dexter
if things get out of
Jetster.
hand.
You knew the
I hope
name
you
of
don't
that
have to
guy.
do
You
that.
are a Wikipedia freak, my dog.
Dog, I'm a
Speaker,
gigantic
does your
fucking
name see
nerd.
your residence?
If I unblurred my background, it's
I've been
just
Mortallero.
all fucking
What's
Star
the-
Wars and
I've
wrestling
been-
figures
I've
back
been
Remember
there.
Mortallero,
Amelia?
Worcester resident, speaking on the only item on the agenda.
I haven't had time to write it yet, but I
Mr. City
fucking
Manager.
Andor season
I
2
am
so
not
good,
saying-
and I want to do a whole essay
No,
on the
I
propaganda,
can talk about
like the
the
news
good and bad of the
crews
city
in
and-
Andor season
but
2. It's just
I gotta
it's
I want to
amazing.
talk about something
It's really amazing.
recent, you know.
Bill, did you hear the
These
interview
recent,
the
like,
writer did
grabs
with
of
Ross
power
Stewart on the New York Times?
No, I need
Totally,
to.
totally worth listening to.
What's his name? Tony something.
Gilroy.
Yeah, it's and that's really what they're discussing was like.
We should be a democracy.
Sorry, I almost got hit by a
Is this
cyber
a
truck
city
there.
council of the people of Worcester, by the people of Worcester, for the people of Worcester? Or is this a puppet government of the Batista regime? Now, I want to know, are we in a democracy or a dictatorship? And right now, it feels like the city is being run as a dictatorship. That's just how I feel right now. And yeah, yield back that's my time.
Thank you.
They ride the bus sometimes, and I just want to say publicly, I would fight and die for this person.
Anybody else?
Tom Marino, Worcester. Am I missing a page? Where's all the important city business? Weird.
Am
After
I
a
missing
week
a
of,
page?
or last week, I guess, of screaming about it, the interruption that was here, it's weird that we have a one-item agenda.
Oh,
Hey, nice.
that's weird. I just took it out of full screen, and now you
Don't
can
have
have
much to say on the
captions.
manager self-evaluation. It's a nice document.
Full screen, no
I would have preferred
captions.
more on accomplishments at the police
3/4
department, but
screen
that's okay.
captions, I guess. So.
Bill, can you go to the options and go to
I
text
just
size and put it all
point
the
out
way
that,
to
the next time this council
extra
meets,
large?
it will be
Yes,
the
yes.
5 weeks will have elapsed before it will have before the last time it deals with any new business. So to take a week of electioneering to beat on protesters is a choice.
John Edward Keough, Irving Street in Worcester, just in case you wanted to know where I live.
If you click
I
on
wanted to
that
say just
again, Bill,
a
that'll
couple
go
things.
away.
One, I think the new city manager evaluation form.
Sorry, it's
is
only
better
been
than
it's
what
only
we
been
had.
4 years. I'm
And so
learning.
I applaud the committee for creating it. It came out pretty good. I still think it falls short of the standard that Cambridge sets, which allows for the sub-items to be judged. It's a longer process. That ends up being about a month long instead of just a week. So, I'd recommend in the future, at some point, get into that more specific, because in this case, when you evaluate, for example, public works, if some contractor doesn't do the right thing,
so
is that
I
something
have
that the city manager
I
should
ran
be
a
judged on?
transcript
I don't know.
of it. I
I
haven't
don't know that
read
that's
it
how we
yet.
want to do the judgment. So I
That
think
doesn't
you need those
surprise me though, because
sub-goals
that's like
to be able to
that's
truly
the
drill
standing
down on
policy
SMART
of
goals.
every single
I know that was brought up at the
police
committee,
department
but
in the
they only
country.
have a
They
short
just
amount of
don't
time
say that out
to
loud
create this
usually.
form. So I think what we got is better than what we
So
had.
it's a very interesting thing to
That
admit
said, I
out
like to look
loud.
at the self-evaluation, and I spent some time reading this PDF, and so I really truly believe that critical self-review is like the key to adulthood. You have to be able to say what you've done wrong and what you need to grow on. And this document has no critical evaluation. It doesn't.
We got to get
indicate
John
that
and or
there's
Tom
ever
on the
been
show
anything wrong
sometime.
in the
They're
city at
fucking
all
hilarious.
during the period of time
Absolutely.
that the evaluation is taking place.
Love those
And
guys.
it's not to say that the city manager is responsible for every single thing that goes wrong or every single thing that goes right. But the presentation publicly is that the city manager is the quarterback, right, of the team. And if you're the quarterback and you throw a ball and it tips off the receiver's hands and it's intercepted, do you know who still gets the interception on the record? The quarterback. So you have to take credit for all the good things, but you also have to take credit for all the bad things. I really think that there's a struggle with communication here. And all three of the people that you took credit for, the bronze medals and stuff.
Dude,
Thank you.
I fucking hate that new policy of the mic just cutting.
Okay, seeing nobody else, we have online.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we have David Webb. Please state your name. So
Yes,
you
are you
Olympia, Washington.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Ooh, he's webbed out.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Say 1%.
Okay, hi. So, David Webb, Olympia. I recently moved for my own safety, as I sue the city and its police department for violating my rights. But the weird part is, I don't think I was targeted. I know this is just how Worcester operates, that everyone involved was just doing their job the way they were trained to, because most of this is a management level issue. For the record, I think a manager should not lie to the people. I think that should be one of the basic things we're looking at here. But there's been no accountability from the police
David
department,
Webb
because
moved
what is he going
across
to
the
do? Go
country.
against the police unions and risk his
He might
family
have
safety?
moved to the site in
So
ancient
Worcester
Greece
can't have
where
trash or
Mount
recycling
Olympus.
solutions, and the
yeah.
screws on the new bins are already rusting. So maybe we need a manager who knows how to order recycling bins without wasting $6 million. Sure, our parks are nice, but they're wildly inaccessible. The clerk's department picks and chooses
Wildly.
what they allow on the agenda. The public records department is notoriously unreliable, despite the council voting for him to tell them to comply with the public records law last year. The city administration and its police department violates its constitution's. Sorry, the city administration and its police department violates its constituents' constitutional rights like it's trying to win a game of fascism bingo. It's like our only values are bootlicking and job security for the law department. The city automates police data creation so the manager and chief have cute sound bites that make them sound even remotely successful. But the only reason anyone
speaking of
thinks
cute
he's
sound
doing
bites,
good is because they're looking at spreadsheets rather than
We
actually
got
walking
a
the
hot mic
streets.
from school committee last
I
week.
spent
Yeah,
so
we
much
did.
time walking those streets, and the reality right now
Joe
is that
Petty
Worcester sucks,
says,
but I don't love it anymore.
Oh wow.
I'm disgusted
Dude,
by its colonial
lawsuit.
values,
I'm
its
filing a
comfort with
fucking
violence,
lawsuit.
and the complete
I-
lack of accountability. We don't care about bond ratings or food hubs when beloved small businesses
not
are
your-
dropping like
you
flies
can't-
because not enough people
I
can both
learned
afford
to
live
thrill
and
in
shop
Kelly
Worcester.
Square.
I was a landlord, and I still
Just,
couldn't
if we're
afford
just
Worcester.
stealing stuff.
I was
Well,
fortunate.
I stole that on
I know.
purpose.
I'm just kidding.
So I guess that's not the best example.
Mr. Mayor, the next speaker is Ashley. Do you want me to the resident now?
That was John Powers' invention.
That was true. That is true.
I
Russian heroes?
made a shirt about the beef that no one remembers. People only remember the shirt. But oh my god, that was one of the best days in Worcester media
Not me
history.
explaining the beef to everybody yesterday. The multiple comments I got.
Yeah, it's
Here-
Worcester wears and Worcester hates
Okay,
you,
full
and they
course
was
is part of the
posting
meeting.
each other's messages
We
back and
have
forth.
Item on the agenda, communication city manager, presenting information communication relative to the self-evaluation of the work and accomplishments of.
What was the hot mic
administration
moment,
for
Phil?
Fiscal year 2025.
The hot mic moment
And,
is
so
Joe Petty
we can
saying
go
that
around the room, raise
yeah,
your
we
hands
just
and go from
we
there
just
if you'd
drink
like.
all day.
Anybody opposed, or-
That's what comes up on the hot mic. It's very obvious that he's talking to Rachel Menares.
Council Bergman, this is your.
And it's obvious that he's talking about like his vacation spot that he's inviting her up to.
Just take a little bit of time.
So it's
to
not
highlight,
that juicy, but it
what
is
I-
pretty funny.
It's probably easier.
He's like, yeah, we just stayed drunk all day.
Areas that I think are worth improving because everything else will be.
I'll play it maybe at the
It's
end of the show.
real good.
Pretty top scores. So I do think, under management skills, I do think the manager does a great job. By and large, I do think that oftentimes we run into situations under team building, which is part of that same skill set category, where there are contracts that expire, union contracts, and then they go without being renewed for extended periods of time, and it causes kind of some tension between the unions and the management and the administration and human resources, and it trickles down to the counselors and to the community and so on and so forth. And I do think there should be a
I don't
better
know what's
way,
going on with the craft tea
when
lawsuit.
contracts are about to expire, maybe within a year they're expiring.
I've never even heard about that.
Renewing the contracts starts
Why
to
don't
be
you tell us,
addressed
Jack?
instead of waiting for contracts to expire and then having to play catch up and again countering all the problems and
Okay,
challenges
collective
that
bargaining
unions
negotiations
without
with
contracts
city unions is
presented.
not a
Other
team
than
building
that, though, I
exercise.
think
Why are we
management
talking about
communication
that
skills
as
are
team
excellent.
building?
Some of my comments, which could be perceived as critiques, I think oftentimes fall under departments, not necessarily the manager. However, the manager is in charge of all the departments, so it has to filter back up to him. And I viewed my responsibility
I'll be right
regarding
back.
his performance evaluation today as recognizing that he only has so much control, but ultimately, if he's taking credit for successes, we have to be critical if things could be better. So under section 1, I gave the manager 23 out of 25 possible points, noting
Wow.
management skills and team
Brutal.
building and the issues I just discussed. Under section 2, accountability, the note that I placed here under ownership of outcomes, again, refers to what I said a moment ago, that not everything is under the manager's complete control, but ultimately the buck stops with him. Something I've mentioned the last few weeks, which I know the manager is trying his best, but I also know that success has yet to happen, is regarding the public library. When I spoke during the budget discussions about the Worcester Public Library, I said, it seems to me the security issues there are status quo, and a couple of my colleagues disagreed with that, and I will have to say they're right. I shouldn't have used the term status quo, but not for the reasons they think. It's not the status quo, it's actually, in my opinion, an argument can be made, getting worse, not staying the same. I received multiple emails and phone calls and text messages from employees who just simply don't feel safe working there. I know the manager's doing his best, and I know he may be running into some opposition, and it may not ultimately be his fault, but it certainly falls under his responsibility.
What?
However, under all the other categories,
What do you want them to do, Mo?
I gave the manager either the highest mark possible or the next to highest mark possible. So in that category, section 2, I gave him 23 out of 25 possible score. Under public health and safety, I see the manager is doing great work and doing his best with challenges that are not just local, but they're national challenges. Overdose, addiction, substance abuse,
City manager is
homelessness are
doing
all
great
issues
with overdose.
that are not just Worcester issues, but they're issues that
Excelling
permeate
in
the
that
entire
category.
country. If there was an easy fix, we'd have fixed it already. There isn't. I
Which
think
just
the manager's
means we
doing the
are
best he can,
completely in line with the
those
rest of the
issues.
nation, which has
I
been
skipped
on a
over financial
downward
management
swing for
also. In
overdoses
this
for
category, I think
roughly
the
3
manager
years now.
shines perhaps the
Yeah.
brightest. Our bond rating has
So,
not wavered.
We're
despite
we're
any
special.
challenges
We're
we
different.
may have had. Budget
This is a really
preparation
good
has never been
review of
better. It's still overwhelming for
of
all
the
of
city
us at
manager.
times, but it was
Just
clear,
diffuse
concise,
grievances.
and there were no surprises.
Bill, do you
and
pay
I
much attention
appreciate
to
being able to
any
meet
of
the
that
manager and his staff
sort of like
before the
contemporary
actual
conversation
budget
around grade
process,
inflation in
at the
higher
beginning
ed?
of the actual budget process? I think it makes our jobs that
no.
much easier.
I don't know why I
Cost
pay
control
attention to
and
it, but I think I find it
efficiency,
find it
Well,
fascinating.
you have a kid in school, so
Maybe that's part of it. Yeah, but it's so in like the Ivy leagues, like the average letter grade in all of the Ivies now
Public
is
health
an
and
A
safety, I
minus,
started a few moments ago, and I gave the
which
manager 23 out
like
of
sounds
25
fine. Like okay, there are
potential,
smart
points.
kids in
I do
Ivies, but
think
like
gun
that's
violence
not what
and-
average
and
means,
youth
right? Like it's
violence
actually kind of
has all
impossible.
decreased. I know the
Yeah.
managers
And everyone knows
multiple
what it's from. It actually stems
programs
back
that
to the
don't
Vietnam
always
War.
get,
It was teachers didn't
publicity
want,
or
if you were
on
in
the
college,
council
it meant
agenda,
you could
but I
avoid the
know he
draft.
works
So
hard in those categories,
teachers
and I
started
think the proof,
the idea of like
is there. As far as
just
affordable
inflating
neighborhood
grades to
reducing homelessness, as I said
a lot of those
earlier, I
professors at
wish
the time were World
there
War
was
II
some extra
veterans. They didn't
fixing
want
that
to
the
see
manager's
students going to
doing the
war.
best he can.
Whatever.
I would say
People
on
understand where
access
it's
to
coming from,
quality-
but it's
to
kind of like
quality parks,
an
the
arms
one or two
race, and
comments
it like
I made
every year,
that,
like grades
could
keep going up and up,
serve
even
as
though students can't read a
doing
book.
better. I think our water bodies are
I feel like
kind of
that's what we're
lacking,
watching here.
The attention they deserve. I know there's been issues
Yeah.
of late.
There's no honesty going on here. It's just like they're currently in the mode where they don't want Eric to get fired. Like he serves their role, their business.
Categories. I did give the manager 22.
We're gonna bump up this grade.
Right. It's like
score.
you know,
the next rating is out of 20 points.
It's
And,
grading
I
for the
just know that,
parents'
again, that the
sake
public parks,
because
to me, could be
everything
cleaner
is
at
so
times. I do
professionalized
think
now
there's a good
in
argument to be
education,
made that
and like
public
the
receptacles
margins
should be
between
more
success and
available
failure
in more
is so
places,
razor
particularly
thin
in the
that
parks.
parents will
and I
complain
give the
about
manager 17 out of
like
20.
their kid getting
And
a
on
C as
economic
opposed to a
growth,
B on a
that's another
paper.
category where
Right.
the manager to me shines. He got 19 out of 20 possible points for me. I do think that he tries hard every
And
day to
it's the kind of
expand the
social
tax base, grow
credit
businesses,
score
modernize and
style
improve the Global City
policies
and
that
arts
you'll
and
find
culture in
our right
Worcester.
wingers
A
complaining
lot of
that
people
China has.
may not be aware of how much arts and culture there actually is in Worcester, but if you don't have to look very hard to find it.
So.
And I think we all should be proud of that. Under the next to last category.
What does
of
Eric Batista
highlighting
do for arts
performing
and culture?
government and strong financial health. Again, I do think the manager does a
Well, they
great
got that
job when it
video
comes
produced from Worcester.
to budgeting and keeping the city's
Yeah.
finances in good order. I know he has an excellent staff, and all these comments that are positive, certainly not only a reflection of the manager, but the reflection of all his staff. And I gave him 23 and 25.
I just
on
want to say that
And
Eric
lastly,
gets a
under-
0 in
under
drinking the coffee.
investment in quality
because
education, maybe the category
they don't
I had
drink the
most
coffee.
trouble with, and if I had had more time, I might have had more discussion in committee on this because
I'm
I don't know
buzzed.
how relevant these categories are to our job on a regular basis, but investment in school facilities, we certainly, through the manager and the mayor, led the charge in developing new high schools, constructing new high schools, I should say, in the city. And as far as early literacy, I know the manager does have some strong opinions and strong involvement in our public libraries and in our schools. So I gave the manager possible 9 out of 10 scores. The total I came up with for the manager on the form, which
Major
allows us to
breakthrough in
write in
comic
total
book
scores,
news.
I
We got
believe
20-ish
was, bear with me,
colored pages back from the guy
Oh,
yesterday.
yeah.
It's
It was
very exciting.
159,
I haven't even
which
sent them to
was
Travis
just
yet,
1
but I
point
just
less
remembered that.
of exceeding
I get very
expectations
excited.
in every
Probably shouldn't show
category.
any.
I will say
Well,
that
maybe I'll
I've
show
seen
a
the
couple.
manager
Maybe I'll show a
continue to try to improve.
Maybe I'll show a
He's
couple
fallen
little
on a
later in
very
the
high
program.
mark to
But
begin with,
Excite.
me at least.
what? No,
And
of course
I
we're
can
not
only
listening to
imagine
this
that he will
motherfucker.
continue
Okay,
to
why would you
improve,
listen to
'cause
this
I know
guy?
he's eager to do the best he can for the city of Worcester.
Fucking sucks.
I've always found him to be a good listener, always available to meet whenever
Oh, I missed this
have a scheduled
before.
meeting or even on
Yeah,
an
thanks to
impromptu
everybody that
meeting.
showed up at
And I
Top
think he
Dog this weekend.
communicates
Top
and
Dog was great.
represents the city well.
We had a blast.
So congratulate him for what I view as a successful year.
Congrats
and
to
I
Dave the
can only
Devourer
expect
for
that
winning
next
the
year
Top
will
Dog
be very
belt.
successful. Thank you.
Really hope he doesn't lose it between now and next year. We did spend a lot of money on it, so
Shaun, impressive with 11.
he did great.
Yeah.
He did great. Unfortunately, yeah, it turns out Eric, the powder was sugar. He was giving him diabetes. Shaun has diabetes now.
Yeah.
But
Eric was, he's always just such an asset. He never causes any problems.
no, never.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I want to thank Council
Oh,
Bergman and
boy.
the committee for, this is a good start in trying to really evaluate the city manager, so I appreciate it.
This is a good start in trying to really evaluate the city
Took some
manager.
time to fill it out.
Belying that in years past they have not
So,
really
so
evaluated
yeah,
the city
I wanna thank the
manager,
I want to thank everybody who's in the audience. for all
and
the
that
work you
it's
do
just
every
a
day,
start, so they're
staff,
kind of
and
not doing it
trying to
now
make this a
either.
better place. So just
God,
wanna
the
thank
city's so
everyone.
fucked up.
First
We got to
section,
check in a
talk
couple
about
times
skills,
on
and I think we
Zoran
definitely have,
in
Mr.
New York
Manager.
City.
Yes.
The primary tonight. I actually
I've seen in the last
Window
several
poll's
months,
close.
a lot of
I
special
drunkenly
conditions.
bought
And,
a paid subscription to
and
Hellgate
for the past
NYC a
very
couple
decade
months
before becoming
ago.
city manager,
Nice.
you
And
just
they have a
follow
live
the
stream,
follow
so
systems.
I might see if I can
And,
pipe that
so you
into
understand
our
how
live
that's
stream
done.
once or twice.
So I just want to
Oh,
thank
yeah.
you for doing that. You delegate pretty well too, I noticed, which is good. Sometimes there's a little give and take. Sometimes you delegate too much, and there's a little follow-up sometimes. Be helpful. Communication, Councilor Bergman said, it's a tough job. You try your best to communicate to us and to the public, and sometimes social media can get well ahead of you. but
They go
do a
live in
good
60
job of
minutes.
that.
Polls close
You
at
know,
8.
sometimes, it's hard. It's just hard to keep up with everything that's going on. Innovation.
100-degree day down in New York,
We
but
have to stay up to date. with
but
best practices
it's
here in the
looking
city of
like
Worcester.
the guy might do it.
Whether it be the strategic
And
plan or the other plans you have going.
that
We felt
means
everybody
that
in here
everyone,
was really, these
all
are
over the
these master
country,
plans
got to
we
start
have.
immediately just copying
So,
every
thank you for
single
doing
thing.
that.
you do.
Right.
Talk a little about accountability.
He's so
I think
good,
you're a
man.
very strong
Yeah,
problem
he
solver
really
here
is.
in the city of
Unbelievable.
Worcester.
Yeah,
You make
somebody
decisions based
I
on information,
reposted it last
which is
night, but it was
important,
like
so I thank you for that.
every few
And
weeks
I
the
invite
Democrats
us to
start
take
saying
accountability for
we
any
need to figure out a way to
shortcomings.
connect with young
We had a
men,
busy winter last year. We had
and
some challenges.
we get examples of it constantly, but they won't take money from like Lockheed Martin, so they just dismiss it.
That we don't fall in the same little problems we had this past year.
I mean, fucking yeah, this
When it
guy,
comes to
like
ethics,
even Bernie Sanders is
I
still
think
getting
you have high
like
integrity.
10,000 plus crowds in like podunk towns
Right.
of young
And you
people,
present very well in public,
and
you forward
they just
dignity
don't
and
wanna
respect
hear
to
it.
all members of the community, whether you agree or disagree with them. So much appreciated on that.
Roman and Oslo
Next
are
category was
doing
financial
good
management.
in the heat today.
This
We
one
had
should be
the
10
AC
gold
running
across
for
the
him all
board. This is
day.
one of our strongest suits, Mr. Manager, and I want to thank everybody.
Roman's
in the
from
financial
Texas, though,
management
so
department, Tim McGurth
don't
and his
bother
whole
him too
team.
much.
This whole body takes the
He likes to just lay in the dirt. He digs a dirt pit and he lays in it.
This is the first year that we split free cash between the city and the schools. All the APA funds have been committed according to what we're supposed to do in the statute. We've been trying to address the OPEB deficit, and we put money away for that every year. This is the unused tax levy capacity is the highest been ever. I
Dude,
think
that's
like
not good.
$25.7 million. I think it's the highest ever.
That is not a good thing.
That's on your behalf and
I have
city
been a
council's behalf.
local reporter
This is
for a
important, too. Our
decade.
bond
I
rate in
have
the reserve
heard
accounts
City
are the
Hall
highest they ever
fucks
been.
in
Over
town
10.
hall
Our
fucks
goal is
always
10%.
talk about how that's such
It's
a
like
good thing.
10.7%.
It is literally not a
And
good
it's over, I
thing.
think it's around $67 million.
The only thing it
This
helps with
council and you
is
have
your
set
municipal
aside
credit
for
score,
future
which
in
is
case we need
fake,
money. We'll be able
Yeah,
to
what do
which
use these reserves.
just
The public
lets
should
you
know that.
do stupid
That,
bullshit like
I
the
think
DCU Center and
that
Polar
is some
Park.
points. And that's why we have the bond ratings we have. We're very
Yep,
comfortable
see, there
coming
you
here.
go.
We have live expenses.
Fucking, I can't believe that
And
shit.
no question about that, especially when it comes to the schools. But the bond
We
rating
don't. You
companies are
don't need.
following
We
everything
don't.
we're doing
The
here.
municipality does
By
not
putting
need a
these
credit
reserves,
score.
put more money away,
The
it
municipality
makes a
needs
big
to
difference
spend
to
the
the
tax
public
money that it gets
and
from
for the city of
people
Worcester
on
and the
services that it
bottom line.
gives to people.
Public health and safety, so next category, mental health, substance issues continues to be a challenge here in the city of Worcester. Not just the city of Worcester, but statewide, nationally, and we're working hard to address it. And the opioid crisis is still out there. I want to thank Health and Human Services and the Quality of Life team for everything you do to go out in that community every day, trying to make people's lives better as much as they can. Offering detox services, Narcan.
What are you supposed to do?
And also, we're still very active. The Youth Violence Prevention Initiative meets weekly and monthly on an ongoing basis. You invested a lot of money into our youth over last year when it was cut when it comes to the Youth Works programs, Recreation Worcester, and you realize the importance of that. So I want to thank you for that.
That was a state.
Also, the Gun Intelligence Unit has been very successful, along with the Chief's emphasis on community policing and strategy.
Oh, I have to.
Gun
Speaking
violence
of
here in the
community
city
policing,
makes a
I'm
huge
I'm reading
difference.
this
So I
book,
thank
Propaganda,
you and the
just came out,
chief
super
for doing
good.
that. And also
In
just
that,
police
I
officers all over
learned that
and
community
first half hour,
policing
we
as a
meet people
term
here in the city of Worcester.
is
Also,
like
the Healthy
directly
Homes,
cribbed
mental
from
registry, the senior work-off
like
program, which
blood
constantly
diamond
forth.
level
But it's important.
management of
One of the biggest
post-colonial
issues, too, the
economies
challenges, again, is affordable
in the
housing.
third world.
It's one of the biggest challenges we
And
have
that,
here, not
like,
just in Worcester, but
just like the
statewide,
propaganda machine has
nationwide,
allowed that to
nationally,
become a
too.
euphemism for like good
And
policing, but it's
using the Affordable
actually
Housing
like
Trust Fund, the down payment assistance program. We have a
counterinsurgency.
number of programs.
Good
Our
for
housing
business
department does a very
policing?
good job for small
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
trying to get as best as we out there. I want to thank Peter Dunn. We have, a number of units that are in play right now.
Yeah, he linked that to some sort of study. I need to find that study. That's pretty interesting stuff.
The units be part of any housing that we do. And one of the big issues too is the unhoused here in the city of Worcester. And I want to thank again Health and Human Services, the Quality of Life, trying to help people.
Blood Diamond's a great movie. I got to watch that again soon.
Dude, I just watched it last night when I couldn't sleep.
We're committed to the Day
So
Resource
good.
Center. We need that sooner than later.
Dude, what's her name? Jennifer Connolly?
And
Oh my
Worcester
god.
Public
Oh my
Library, and
god.
we do a good job trying to help people there. And
This is in no way to be
people need safe spaces.
taken as a defense of the failed state of Rhodesia, but they did have the best camel batter in history.
Commitment to the Day Resource Center. Again, some parks was
Rhodesian brushstroke is so badass.
Got to be around $100 million over the last several years that people have access to.
Yeah, that is actually wicked sick.
And make a difference in people's quality of life here in the city of Worcester. Clean initiatives, clean city initiatives. I want to thank the manager for his continued commitment to the zero waste master plan, the green Worcester plan, and the installation of these trash bins. I hope make a big difference. I know we're in a test period right now because sometimes the city does look pretty dirty, whether it be the wind blown, whether it's trash in the city. We need to get our hands around that. So there's definitely improvement for that. Even some of the mayor's work I've done on the streets, and you've been there with us, so you've seen it firsthand. With the environmental resilience, the Worcester Regional Transit Authority is working to improve reliability, and our commitment to Vision Zero and the plan for complete streets is helping to ensure our roads will be safe and our pedestrians will be safe. And the manager's commitment to the Green Worcester Plan, Milwaukee Forest, Zero Waste Master Plan, and planting of 2,000 trees by the end of next year is so important for the quality of life here. And even in the blending of the arts.
He's just doing exactly what Batista did. You just list things.
So appreciate that. Blue space,
loves
very
lists.
challenging. Sometimes things can creep up on you. I just want to thank the Blue Space people, Katie Liming, for her work that she did in the ways. You know, it was a tough meeting last night, but she was a pro and she did a great job, and she knows what she's talking about. So, which is important. I know the job is hard with climate change and growing needs of our blue spaces, but the work they do is so important. That needs to be supported. Economic development team, I just want to thank, led by Peter Dunn, all the work they do with the business community and the residents of the city of Worcester, with prospective businesses and developers. I know we have to hopefully expand the tax base with Green Tech Park and the Worcester Memorial Auditorium, 2 projects that are coming our way, hopefully sooner than later. Job growth, Mass Hire program is doing great, working with community, training people is so important, so people are ready for the next careers. MBI, WBDC, trying to secure life science hubs.
This is fucking hard to listen to, man.
Team. Parking garages, we have some challenges there. There's no question about that. We'll get that done, those updates as we can. And also in the neighborhoods.
Oh, we got some challenges there.
Challenges in the city of Worcester. With arts and cultures, it makes this whole city of Worcester very successful. And they really owe a lot of success to the art and culture on behalf of the whole city. And so I want to thank the manager for removing all those unnecessary fees and permitting process to make it easier for people. Performing government, strong financial health. Some of the things that 311 call center is getting more attention. I think it makes a difference. People are getting comfortable with it. I think we're responding better. I think our website has some room for growth. I know we just released it. I'm sure there's some bugs in the system. Keeping people here is important. Addressing pay equity and separating Parks Department, DPW.
Keeping people here is important.
So, I want to thank the Department of Innovation Technology, Mike Hamill, for the work he's doing to secure our data here in the city of Worcester, because it's more challenging than ever. If anybody has their own jobs out there, you see people coming in who should not be being sent you emails. You have fishing expeditions, and so I want to thank him. Part of this category is also DEI. I want to thank Kevin Levancy, and what he's done, I think he's done a great job. Most of us will participate in some of the police and fire training.
Dude, MIDI keyboards are such a pain in the ass. Fucking, I'm trying to set it up so that my foot switch mutes and unmutes my microphone.
When it comes to recruitment and retention,
the
increase
FMLA,
PPO bonuses,
I think.
And the wellness that you want, it shows you are invested in the city.
But I do love the idea of having a complete, like, secondary keyboard for writing.
Happy to come to work.
It's like, there's just like crazy ass symbols on there.
Over that. Again, I just want to thank Tim McGurthy and his team. Also, there's a section there on quality of education. We have a good working relationship with the former superintendent, I'm the current superintendent, Mr. McGurthy. There's always going to be give and take. That's part of the process. But it's good communication. I want to thank the library for working with the Worcester Public Schools and people who advocate for libraries in the schools. So, again, Mr.
10
Manager,
key list.
proud to have you as our manager. I think you're doing a great job. And keep up the good work. And I think overall, I gave you exceed. What was the category there? Sure. Exceeds expectations. So thank you.
How?
Low expectations.
Right.
You exceed expectations because I hired you unilaterally after you ate the cookie in the basement of the Worcester Club. So it's kind of on me.
Anybody else?
Is that an Ookie Cookie reference, Bill?
It is absolutely an Ookie Cookie
Council
reference.
Hygiene?
I won't say who
Thank you,
I
Mr.
ran
Manager.
that joke on first, but
I
they found
wrote a
it
lot
very
of
funny
things,
and
and
lost
for
their
the
shit
public
at the
watching, this
patio
is
of Local
a,
Bar. So
the
we're
forum
gonna
is
try it again
public,
here.
so you will
Eric
read,
Batista, folks.
all
It
the
pains me to say this. I
details
take
that
no
put in my
pleasure in
narrative
saying
and
this.
my,
Eric Batista ate
and
the
my
cookie.
score.
That's
so
why
I don't
he's city
feel the
manager.
need to go down everything that I wrote today, to go over it. So I'll go over some of the highlights. First, I want to say a thank you to Chairman Bergman and his committee for working to finalize this new evaluation form. It is absolutely so much more helpful than the first eval that I did, and so I appreciate their hard work on that. As I did with my previous evaluation, I considered a lot of the feedback from District 5 residents and others across the city, as well as my own work with the city manager and his team. As with every evaluation that I've done as a supervisor in my professional work, I have provided feedback that is affirming of the good things that the manager and his team are doing, as well as feedback that might be hard to hear, but one that is hopefully helpful in keeping our partnership successful and moving District 5 and all neighborhoods forward. Before I start going over some of the things I want to highlight, I want to say thank you to all the public employees here and those watching and working behind the scenes. Please know that I deeply, deeply appreciate your commitment to all of our residents, and I appreciate all of you, even though we may disagree sometimes. Under skills, and specifically under the subheading management, I have deeply appreciated the manager's hiring decisions. Most recently, the DPW and Inspectional Service Commissioners, two very good, skilled, experienced professionals who I think will make a huge difference in those two departments. The manager has made some very good decisions in response to addressing staff who are in violation of DEI values and practices, and I've deeply appreciated that. There is room for improvement. I encourage the manager to respond to the feedback and continuous concern of staff, address them appropriately, like those that I've heard coming out of the fire department union. Under communication, I appreciate that the manager has utilized social media. I think in comparison to other managers, it's been a breath of fresh air to see more communication that matches the times. I appreciate the communication team and their graphics to communicate important policy changes to the public and the city council, as well as the chief of staff for giving us heads up sometimes about things that before they go to the public. Manager has been very responsive to my inquiries, communication, and in all our one-on-one meetings. However, I have been challenged by the tone of recent statements, particularly after the DOJ report was released, and particularly after ICE activities in the city. Some of the statements have been dismissive of the community's experiences and needs. I have heard from many community members that they have not felt heard or believed as a result. There's a lot of room for improvement in these areas. There also needs to be improvement in the extent that the communication team is utilized by all the city departments to highlight their stories, successes, and efforts. It is my expectation that, Mr. Manager, you will equally enforce the practice of all department statements be approved by your office without exception. It is also my expectation, as it pertains to irresponsible developers, that you will be more responsive to residents' concerns and frustrations. Under accountability of leadership, I want to highlight community engagement, leadership, and I believe I did communication before. I appreciate the manager's uplifting the good things, the innovative things that his departments are doing. And I have seen him interact respectfully with residents and patiently, even under challenging circumstances. I think there is some room for improvement in terms of supporting and promoting civic engagement. Several councilors have expressed not feeling safe, being threatened, and recently the Black Heritage Committee moved the Juneteenth Flag Rising Festival to a different location. It is my expectation
The Juneteenth
that there will
one
be a
seems
review
to me
of all
to
our
be a very
protocols and
unforced error.
practices in how the Executive Office of DEI is engaging with these challenges,
Yeah, they're
including
like
those and specifically those of BIPOC
completely right to
communities.
move it, and
I have
the city
also
fucked up by
heard
letting that,
from
like,
District
putting
5
that
residents that they would
on the
love
table,
to see
essentially.
you, Mr.
yeah,
Manager,
why
come
would
out
they?
more to neighborhood meetings, and also make it an
I don't know,
expectation of
man.
your staff to also be more
Why would
visible
they
in
invoke
community,
the flag
building stronger
policy
relationships with
on that
residents.
for
I
that one?
particularly
It's like,
appreciated Commissioner Westerling for coming out to the neighborhood meetings and meeting with all my residents without hesitating. I hope that's a practice that can be replicated across the board.
Hi, Molly.
Hey, Molly.
I expect the manager to continue making decisions based on data and best practices, integrity, and ethical responsibility as he has. My goals for the manager include increasing transparency among all departments, address shortcomings equally, and maintain the same level of accountability for all departments and all department heads across the board. One of the areas I would like to challenge the manager to improve is in his relationship with boards and commissions. The recent dismissal of the chair and vice chair of the Human Rights Commission and the response to the cable advisory recommendation illustrate a need to respect the feedback of volunteers, as well as their autonomy and the
Pretty
power
much
vested
describes
into
this
regular-
show.
Yeah.
The three hosts of it.
What's going on here?
Yeah.
regulatory commissions
Oh, it's just
like
paused.
the Human Rights Commission.
Oh, does that mean my
Under
thing works
financial
now?
management, I gave the manager high marks in all the areas, specifically cost control.
It's probably a
and
bad time to
efficiency.
be trying to do
There
this.
is one area of improvement, and perhaps this is more
They're
of
kinda
a,
hilarious.
more of a suggestion, an inquiry that all departments and employees implement performance evaluations across the board of the diff and ballpark so as not to burden the taxpayers. Under public health and safety, I am very pleased with the work of the Health and Human Services. The Commissioner has done an amazing work in terms of teaching others, managing overdoses, and I specifically appreciate her support as well as the Board of Health support of overdose prevention sites as a specific strategy. Under the Healthy Homes, I do appreciate a lot the work that's being done in this department. I do believe that there needs to be more robust response in how code enforcement can be utilized to address our most affected neighborhoods, particularly
Facebook
those
comments
in
are
BIPOC
disabled.
and low wealth neighborhoods. Under the affordable neighborhoods and reducing homelessness,
Answer me.
it has been an incredible thing to see the manager
You can't even
publicly
type a letter.
support and financially support the Day Resource Center. It's a bare minimum sort of response that I know advocates like myself and others have tried for decades to get the city to accept, and I understand that former manager Augusta started the conversations. I applaud you and compliment you, Mr. Manager, for making that happen and pushing forward regardless of the resistance. I also appreciate under affordable housing the work that Mr. Dunn and his department have done.
Who was the resistance?
As well as your leadership and vision around increasing the developer's share of bringing affordable housing units online via the inclusionary zoning ordinance that we passed, especially having ADUs and leading the state when other communities haven't. I am extremely happy and proud of Mr. Dunn and his staff, as well as your support for citywide zoning reform, something that I know has been met with extreme resistance in the past. I appreciate the housing production plan, the Worcester now next plan as well as all the thought and support that has gone into supporting homeownership and rental assistance. However, it's my expectation that the manager and his staff continue to advocate, or I should say advocate, that the Housing Development Incentive Program, known as HDIP, include affordable housing options. I'd like to highlight the one big area of improvement that we have to
HDIP is
improve
crazy.
on as a community is tenant protections. I was
Anybody-
very glad
anybody
to
else
see,
in
and I gave
HDIP
Mr.
head?
Dunn the feedback that I saw some
It's,
additional tenant
I'm a fun
protection
dip head.
strategies
It's a state
make their way into the housing
program
production plan. It's my expectation that Mr. Manager
for
will
housing
continue to be a vocal
incentivization
supporter
or whatever.
of strengthening
They
tenant
like
protections
tax breaks for
by
developers, but
using
you
the
can
rental
only
registry
use
and
it for
code
market rate.
enforcement, as data gathering
can't
and
use it for
policy
affordable.
tools to both incentivize and penalize
like
irresponsible developers and
gentrification
property
machine.
owners. It is also my expectation that you will provide more support and access to small-scale affordable housing developers. We simply cannot only rely on the Worcester Housing Authority, on our CDCs, to provide deeply affordable housing. Under outreach to unhoused individuals, I wanted to highlight a few things. I don't think in this time and place, even if we had all the tools available to us as a municipality, we could eradicate homelessness, because that is a result and a byproduct of decades of disinvestment from the federal government and the state government onto municipalities that have had to address this issue. However, there are things that we could improve in this area. I want to publicly applaud the manager for supporting the additional temporary women's shelter, advocating for the RMB to become a winter emergency shelter. I know firsthand from all my conversations with you that you insisted, advocated relentlessly to the Secretary of Housing and to the Lieutenant Governor for us to be able to use that RMB shelter during the winter. I want to thank you for listening to the housing and homelessness provider community, many of whom have shared with me that this is the first time they have ever felt that someone in your role has actively listened to them, not to check a box, but because you are really curious and committed to their feedback. I also appreciate that you have not been afraid and have encouraged bringing people with lived experience to these discussions. Here are some areas of improvement and expectations that I've highlighted. We continue as a community to have challenging discussions around homelessness response, particularly when we erect shelters and permanent supportive housing projects in our neighborhoods. We have to continue pushing back against the notion that our unhoused neighbors haven't earned the right to be treated with dignity, humanity, and compassion, as all of us do. We need to see a year-long shelter as opposed to scrambling every year to set up a winter emergency shelter, going from neighborhood to neighborhood, being met with opposition. I have shared with the manager and his staff several policy strategies that can help us support our unhoused community, including necessities, basic human right necessities, such as public bathroom and water fountains in public places. Outreach is not enough if there are no exit strategies and safe places for our unsheltered neighbors to go. We do not have extra services. I have repeated this over and over again. There are no extra services that we can offer folks, and that's not your fault or the fault of your staff. However, we do need to shift the narrative and expectation that, particularly for folks trapped in encampments in the woods, that there are safe exits for them. There simply aren't. I encourage the manager to also submit to council as soon as possible the 12 to 18-month emergency plan that I asked to be shared with the public and the city council, so we can better understand the gaps, how we will manage the uptick in individual and family homelessness. Under clean neighborhoods, the work that the manager's team has done around blue spaces and green spaces has been fantastic. I appreciate the dual stream bins, the manager's clean team initiatives, and the attention around planting more trees. Under economic growth, the city's renaissance is not trickling down to all our neighborhoods. I see a lot of attention to some neighborhoods like downtown, and less to areas of the city like Webster Square and Park Avenue. It's my expectation, Mr. Manager, that you and your team will focus on these neighborhoods with the same urgency and resources that you have focused downtown. Here are some areas of improvements I have highlighted for you. First, let me start by saying great job moving forward the specialized stretch code to make our construction more sustainable. I know that wasn't a very easy thing to do. I do think we still have room for improvement in ensuring that we are not focusing all of our energy into high-end developers, but simultaneously also cultivating relationships and paying attention to small-scale developers, particularly those who specialize in deeply affordable housing. One of my expectations and goals, something that I've talked about with the manager and his staff, is for the city to expand the responsible development ordinance to include small-scale developers who are not receiving public dollars. Everybody who develops properties in our city needs to be held accountable to our taxpayers and all our neighborhoods, regardless of who they are. We need to hold property owners similarly accountable to the city's neighborhoods and taxpayers for leaving underutilized and vacant properties fallow. I could go down the list: Big D, Kroc Property, Clark University, former Diamond Chevrolet. All these properties continue to be an eyesore and prevent our neighborhoods from mixed development. Mr. Manager, I've shared this with you. It's my expectation
How many
that you need
sports
to
do we have?
exercise more
We just built
pressure
a single-use
onto
stadium
developers like
on
Madison
Chicago,
Properties and
yeah.
demand they respect our taxpayers and residents through the commitments they made to the city. Under business development and job growth, I am very concerned. The small businesses, including mom and pops, immigrant-owned businesses, are closing at a high rate. It's my expectation and my hope that, Mr. Manager, you and your team will look into innovative and creative ideas to encourage and prevent the small mom and pop shops from closing in the future. Under high performance governance, I know this feedback is not going to be very easy to hear. While I'm very pleased the manager finally has found a great chief diversity officer and has implemented racial equity trainings with the Worcester Police Department and Worcester Fire Department recruits, I do have to say that I am discouraged by the response of the DOJ report, even though I appreciate several policies implemented by Chief Saucier. More than one council member have expressed serious concerns about transphobic slurs and xenophobic comments made by sitting city councilors. It has been disappointing that the Executive Office of DEI has not been engaged to ensure a safe working environment free of bigotry and discrimination. What we allow to happen festers. The manager can also take the lead in issuing an executive order related to the implementation of a civilian review board as a measure of good faith extended to the community and several Black and Latino-led organizations who have talked about a civilian review board and other reforms for a very long time. Despite the efforts of Chief Saucier and the manager, Black and Brown community members are still distrustful of police community relations, and the Worcester Fire Department still does not have an equity officer. I am still unclear what kinds of investigations and issues the Office of DEI is conducting, as well as the outreach to communities most exposed to discrimination and bigotry, particularly to our most vulnerable residents. Under recruitment and retention, I talked about your great choice and instinct to hire DPW Commissioner Westerling and Inspectional Services Commissioner Antanavica, who I met recently. I was very impressed. Equally grateful that you have picked a great chief equity officer. I hope that there's more diversity in the future in the cabinet, and I hope more cabinet members choose to reside in the city of Worcester. One of the things that I'm going to end with under this category is that city staff have complained of feeling unsafe around elected officials. The city manager and the chief diversity officer have a responsibility to investigate, address, and make these findings public. I have not seen good evidence that those protections and guardrails are in place. That said, Mr. Manager, I continue to be a partner in this work. We will have disagreements. We will have difficult discussions. I am committed to sitting through those difficult discussions, no matter how hard they get, because I deeply care about the city, and I truly believe that your success is my success. It is our city's success. It is our constituent success. And that's what this feedback is meant to provide, a roadway and a pathway for our partnership to get stronger and for us to get through some of the difficult, really challenging moments that our community has seen, particularly recently. I extend the same invitation to all department heads and anyone in the city department who may have strong disagreements with my views or my policies. Thank you, Mr. Manager, and I hope we can continue this partnership.
Thank you. Anybody else? Can adjourn? Councilor Hida?
Maybe everyone's nervous, I don't know. I'll be brief. I mean, I went through this process last year for the first time. I was a little shocked a little bit at some of the things that were being said, but that's why you're city manager. It's your job to take it. So,
He did, but only
like I said, I'll
because
be brief.
nobody
Under
asked to
skills,
speak.
I think for me, one of the things that I wanted to touch on was communication. The reason why I wanted to talk about that is
I have a
and working
feeling
with the
the
city
room is
manager,
split between
I've been
people
able
who
to
don't want to
personally,
speak and
you know,
people
with
who
the
don't want to
district,
give the people who
have
do want
a
to speak
really
the
good
last word.
communication on some of the issues and things that I'm dealing with in our district, the constituents are dealing with in the district, and be able to share that information and being as transparent as possible. So that's been really well. I think understanding communication that comes from the city manager or the city clerk. It's understanding that process. So that I gave it a 3 because it's more of an understanding of where we're supposed to get information from. Something as simple as, or as serious as, the changing of one of our meetings when we went virtual. It's more of, you know, if I receive an email, 4 o'clock or whatever it may be, I'm busy as everyone else, I may not get that. So it's more of how do we make sure that that communication is sent out via email, text message, phone call, but also making sure that you know that one of the councilors got that information. So that's something that I feel as though we can work on. A lot of stuff that I'm talking about, I mean, as a councilor, I take ownership as well because we work on this together. When it comes to accountability, you know, many times the city manager has mentioned that he's taken ownership. You know, he's agreed on a lot of things that just didn't go the right way, and he's taken ownership. I mean, something as simple as snowstorms, something as serious as Mill Street, and a lot of some of the statements that have been put out there. He's taken ownership, he's taken the heat for it, and, you know, I respect the fact that, you know, at the end of the day, you stand up, you say, you know, we could have, it's my time up, just kidding. We could have done a better job, and I appreciate that. You know, that's something that we as a group have to respect that. Financial management, great job there. I'm moving on from that one. When it comes to citywide performance factors,
So I had a cat-related emergency.
Violence and reduction of gun violence.
He kicked you out of the house?
Well, Katie, yeah, she was like, get the fuck out. Katie came home, couldn't find the cat. Thought the cat got away. Turns out the cat was just in an especially comfy spot, didn't want to get up.
Imagine I work in the schools. I just don't see enough of it. I think we got to find.
And then she kicked me out.
Get ahead of it. I've asked for some way somehow to have a social media impact as a city.
Which cat,
get
Bill?
As much data and information out there to
Gus.
our youth to understand the effects
Gus.
of being in a
Gus.
certain environment.
Gus,
the old
and
Gus.
protect them. So I think you know that's a 3.5 on both of them. But I believe you know, city manager will do the work, and you know that he has his staff that's willing to work with him. When it comes to affordable neighborhoods and reducing homelessness, I believe he's doing a great job, him and his staff. You know, I've worked with many of his staff, especially when it comes to the Day Resource Center. I made a trip out to Quincy and saw the 24/7 Resource Center out there. And it was really good to see that the staff that the city manager is working with to making sure that we're doing everything we can to hit the ground running when it's up and running. And again, this is just a sign of great leadership and understanding that we have to take as much information as possible to be able to support our constituents in this area. I'm trying to make sure I stay on track because this thing's a little confusing for me. The clean neighborhoods, sorry, that's under clean city initiatives. I think I've been all over this. This is something that's been great for me and for our constituents in District 4. Really spearheaded this initiative. I think a lot of respect and love and shout out should go to the quality of life team, inspectional services, of making sure that all the issues that the residents are receiving, all the information they're getting, it's being passed along to, you know, customer service, 311, things of that nature. And again, that's on the leadership of you, the city manager, and making sure that the staff gets on top of these things. It just doesn't fall by the wayside. Again, I continue mentioning District 4, obviously, but there's a lot going on, and it's really good to know that I'm able to call individuals and make those differences and make that and those opportunities to enhance District 4. So I appreciate that. I appreciate all the staff for being able to take my phone calls, share information, willing to meet with residents, willing to have them come to the office and have conversations with them. So I truly appreciate that. I think we're doing a great job there. When it comes to economic growth, again, I think that's an area
Willing
where,
to take my phone calls
some areas we
as
can do
a
better.
compliment
Especially
for the
for
person
our
we're
small businesses and trying to figure out
ostensibly
ways
one of
to,
11 people overseeing is crazy.
share their growth, help them increase their businesses. I know it's a little tricky just to, you know, identify one business, but there's ways as a city where we can identify certain neighborhoods and identify what goes on in their neighborhoods, in those neighborhoods. What are the great things that are going on in neighborhoods? What businesses have been there for 40, 50 years, and celebrate those as well. So I'm just hoping we can get a little bit more creative in that area. Make sure I get this right. I think I'll move forward quickly to investment in quality education. If there's a way to push the schools to do a little bit more outside of the daily grind of school hours, I think it's important to have some more after-school programs that are focused on family engagement programs, literacy.
So who do we got left here? We got Luis is speaking.
And how do we
We
make
got-
sure that we do that as
Sound like nobody else wanted to speak, honestly.
Oh, really? Was there like there was a
Lastly, I
lull?
want to say,
The
you know,
mayor was
thank
like,
you to the staff
should we
again.
adjourn? And then
When
he
I
got up.
on board,
Damn.
I just
So
wanted
no
to do as much
candy.
as I can.
Maybe.
And your staff was
Doesn't seem like it.
very helpful.
Yeah, I was just
Around,
texting somebody last
just
night
had a
about how
meeting with
I
Peter Dunn in the hot
just
sun.
genuinely
Yesterday,
it
was sweating,
ruins my
but that shows
mental
the commitment.
space, my
We're coming
mood, just to
out,
hear the
meeting
voice.
with,
It
you know,
just puts me in a
developers
dark
and
place.
owners and
Did I miss Christian when I?
in Raleigh on how we're gonna
He
solve
didn't-
certain
he didn't
issues in the
talk.
streets,
Okay.
make the streets safer.
Christian ain't talking?
And just making
Well, I
sure
find
He
out.
didn't
that
say anything yet.
we do the best we can.
Maybe they're all angling to go
and that we
last.
continue to do it.
I
We
think
know
that's
we're
what
gonna
it
make
is. I think
mistakes.
the
We
people
know
who
that,
want to talk don't want to give
it may
everyone
not
else the
go-
last
It may
word.
not go perfectly, but the
Yeah,
great thing
you said
is
that,
that
yeah.
we understand that, and we're willing to go back, take ownership, and move forward. So again, that, to me, that just shows strong leadership, you being able to trust your staff, you know, and that's for them to do their job. That's what we're hired to do. They're professionals in their own right. And again, I appreciate the work that's done. There's still a lot of work to be done, and as a counselor, I'm willing to continue to keep my sleeves rolled up and do the work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Councilmember Carlson?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just want to
Fucking
start
goddamn.
off with,
I
I know
willed
this
that in the
farm
beer.
is a little different than what we've historically been used to. So you're going to need to bear with some of us. But just want to say that, you know, with the city manager, he certainly has a clear understanding and foresight for bringing development into this city. We talked about
what
and
is
several
Candy
folks have
spreading on
already
social
talked
media?
about, we have a strong financial plan. We certainly have a strong bond rating. The staff here in the city of Worcester, oftentimes, they don't get recognized for all the hard work that they do on behalf of the city manager.
Somebody in the
So
chat
I
was
just
talking about how
wanna
Candy was
start,
buying on social media.
by saying that, and also in terms
And I mean, what else
of
is new? But I
management
want to know the
skills,
specific thing.
I think that the city manager certainly displays fabulous
Saguaro, yeah, I
management
don't,
skills. And he's outlined that in his 5-year strategic plan in great detail. Team building, I don't think that this city has seen somebody who was more of a team builder than the current city manager. And I say that because this is
Oh.
the first city manager who has recognized something which some people say it's only parking, but quite honestly, for city employees to not have to pay for parking, I think speaks volumes to who we do have for a city manager, and also him doing the pay equity for lots of folks. I know since I've been here, the first year that I started here and looked at what people were making in some of these departments, quite honestly, I'm thrilled to see how far we've actually come. There's certainly with some of these, there are some things that honestly the constituents in District 2 want me to be extremely loud and extremely clear that in terms of what is happening on our streets and sidewalks, it's just not working. And I appreciate the city manager working with myself and Councilor Russell trying to get our sidewalks after almost 40 years.
A thing you never
of
spoke
not
about
being
before,
done, to
running
try
against
to
Rob
get
Bellata.
that fast track so that we could have also a couple of years of streets that would also be done. But the DPW has had a huge impact.
I love this.
on
I love it
folks
when they,
in District 2,
this whole
as
thing
well
about
as
the
I'm sure
banks,
the
and they're like,
rest
we
of
had
the
important
city.
business to attend
And
to.
I
They
would
just
just
wiped
ask
everything.
the manager.
Right,
So,
right.
Tom
once
Marino is so right to
again,
point that out.
one of
What's
the
so
things
funny? Am I
that
missing a
we need
page?
to do,
Where's
and
all the
it's
business?
already there, is we have a progress report. Day in and day out, and I mean every single day, people are asking about a project, and we have no communication on this. We went to the Indian Lake meeting last night, and again, one of the major problems that was there was the sidewalk. That, again, zero communication until somebody had reached out to me, and then I reached out to the commissioner and found out what was happening. But honestly, again, I don't understand, and I would hope that the manager will work with me to finally fix these issues in terms of DPW and now transportation and mobility along the lines of the progress report. I know that maybe for some folks, it may not seem like a big issue, but streets and sidewalks, which certainly are tied to public safety, is probably one of the #1 issues alongside of our city not being clean. And along those lines, also, if I love the fact that we finally got trash bins, and we've put them in a couple of areas, but I strongly hope that the city manager has plans to put them in several other areas. Because again, for people, they see them in one area, and with no communication of saying that we have a long-term plan of putting these around the city, it's just, quite honestly, it's lack of communication. And in terms of problem solving, Mr. Manager, over the last few years, you certainly have taken on the initiative to address issues such as creating a safety plan for the fire department, as well as implementing the rental registry program. Again, I think that those are two terrific things, and you should be commended for those. I would just have to say, because people have talked about this a tremendous amount, is how long it has actually taken us to finally implement the rental registry program. But
Didn't
again,
Cameron
we
Carlson,
have very
correct me
high
if I'm wrong,
hopes
you
once,
voted to fucking
this
kneecap the rental
gets
registry,
going,
if I'm not
that
mistaken.
It certainly will be a real asset for
To the point where there's isn't really even a reason to have one
city. In terms of
under
leadership,
the way it's set up.
I quite frankly think that you've done a tremendous job with your leadership, and some of those which were making some tough decisions. And those tough decisions were, for example, in the police department, not that, in my humble opinion, hiring Chief Saucier wasn't one of our best choices that we, the city, have made over the last year, but also the decision to take the chief's position out of civil service. So I certainly applaud you for that. In terms of financial forecasting, we certainly
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in
are
5.
doing a great job there. We have no issues in terms of that, which is a major asset to us as a city. In terms of budget planning and development, again, as you know, since I first got elected, we've come a long way with the budget process. The budget process for most of us used to be, if we were lucky, we had 45 minutes of time for the budget. So I would say you certainly have done a ton of work in making sure that the city council understands the budget process. So in terms of the bond rating, as we've heard earlier, that we're in great shape as far as that goes. In terms of the mental health, I think that we've done a much better job over the last couple of years than we had first started out in this area, and I still think that we have a ways to go. But again, I also recognize the amount of work that we're putting on this department, and they do a tremendous amount of work with very little staff. In terms of reduction in youth violence, I really want to applaud you as well as the chief for all the work that's done on this, because I know firsthand in District 2 that I've seen both you and the chief and his department working alongside of the neighborhoods. And as far as the Day Resource Center, it's taken us a long time to get here, but we have finally got here, and I look forward and certainly give you a tremendous amount of credit.
Oh my fucking gosh, she's still going?
Us getting to the point that
Oh
we will
God,
be
has she
able
said
to
anything
open
interesting
up
at
that
all?
Day Resource Center.
She said that they shouldn't have hired Saucier.
In terms of access
Really?
to quality.
It was
I don't
very
know if she
weird. I don't think she meant
we
it, but
certainly
I don't
have
think
that.
she did either.
I know that
definitely
I should
one
say I don't
worth
know the new number, but
revisiting
I know
if only for the clip bill.
number just a year ago was well over
How many
$100
minutes ago
million
do you say would that be?
were spent in the Parks Department.
3
hours.
And I also want to commend you
7:45.
for, in my mind, finally having the commissioner of parks and them being a standalone department. Obviously, the one thing that I would say is I know we've spent a tremendous amount of money, but I think that we should continue
Me and Katie went to Ruby Doo's for the
spend
first
money
time.
in our
That
parks
place
how was it?
because
rules.
as we've seen
Oh yeah.
in the
At
parks
Ruby
across
Doos,
this city.
Katie got the good idea
When we
that
do
she wants to
give
start
our
doing
community a
food
nice
reviews
park for
about Worcester
families and
restaurants
their
called
kids,
Bong
those
Appetit.
parks are loaded.
Is the name of the name of the
Every time
series,
that we go by them,
where
and really
she gets
wanna
stoned and talks about
commend the Parks
restaurants.
Department for all that
I
they
love
do,
that.
because
So
they
you might be
do
seeing
a great
a
job
Bong
taking
Appetit
care of
coming your
the,
way sometime in the near future.
61 parks
Fuck
that
yeah.
they have throughout the city. And moving on to clean neighborhoods, the Quality of Life team does do a fabulous job. There's no doubt about it. We started off pretty small. We're a little bit bigger today than we were a couple of years ago. But we really need to expand that because, again, Mr. Manager, that the people who live in this city, one of the things that I hear all the time is we have a dirty city. We don't want to hear it, but I think we need to recognize that
we are
don't
filthy.
have control of it. As
We are
of
dirty,
yet. I know that there's
filthy.
a lot of steps that you have put forward, but we're just not there yet. So I would encourage you to continue to work on that and build that team even bigger, because we definitely need to do that. In terms of well-maintained public spaces, again, I think we're doing a good job. Do I think we could do better? I absolutely think that we could do better. And I think that, you know, what we need to look at is what is important to our constituents. And quite frankly, as I'm reminded every day, is what's important to them is streets and sidewalks and trees and a safe neighborhood and good schools for their children to go to. So the last couple of things that I want to say is, in the last couple of years, we've had our contracts with our different departments, which were done much sooner than they had been done previously. But quite honestly, coming from the background that I come from in the labor movement, no contract should be sitting out there for any length of time like we have done. But again, I want to applaud you that it wasn't sitting out there for 5 or 6 years. But again, we need to do better. And wrapping up, just want to say I do appreciate Mr. Odell coming last night to the neighborhood meeting, as well as Katie coming to the meeting. But Mr. Manager, our bodies of water, we should not have gotten to the point that we did last night to find out that that's the shape that we were in. We should have known something, quite frankly, as the District 2
Dinner
counselor,
time.
we should have known something a little bit sooner. So I hope that.
What's wrong with the
and
body of
again,
water? Is it
not
just a
for
freaking
that
the
body of
billboard,
water
or is
there,
there
but throughout the city?
cyanobacterias?
Again, it boils down to
Goose shit.
communication, and I think that especially
I mean,
for
poop
that,
thing is an ever-present threat.
department at
Poop
this
thing
point,
hasn't
I would
struck
say
recently.
we
We
need
haven't heard from
to
him.
No, but
have
he
much
tried
better
to
communication.
escape to
But
Indian
having
Lake.
said that, I do want to say to
So we chased him
again,
down,
all the
wrangled him
city
back into
staff
Quincy.
and,
We
I'll
said,
wrap up
"Stay, poop
with
thing, stay."
Economic development. I
Um,
think that this city has done a tremendous job with economic development, and Mr. Manager, you
Shouts
know
out
this
to Queen's
because
Cup,
we have these conversations. I think
Flying
we're
Rhino,
very lucky to have. And
Lock
again,
50.
I would know this because I work closely with Peter Dunn. We're lucky to have him
Dive
and
bar,
his leadership in terms of the
Smokehouse,
economic development in this
or
city.
smokestack,
But
rather.
I want to say to you,
Who else
is
just
that,
closed too?
I thank
Besides
you for that leadership.
Queen's Cup.
for this department, but for
Flying
every
Rhino.
department in the
Yes.
city of Worcester.
Although, so
I do
I didn't
know
realize
that they
that.
work
So
extremely hard,
they got bought by
sometimes
the
under
people
some
that from
extremely,
Altia's and Livia's dish, but the
trying
old owners of
times.
those, not the people that just
I want
bought
you to
them.
know that
Oh.
So basically, they
certainly
sold
know
they
that.
sold Altia's and Livia's and
Your
then
jobs
bought
are not
Flying
easy,
Rhino.
I don't know about that.
especially in the climate that we're
Oh,
in.
BTs, yep.
It's a,
Yeah.
you know, it's a
Oh, yeah,
challenging
Russo, but
time
yeah, I mean,
in
Russo
our
was
history with what's
never great.
Sally, this is the movie, The Thing.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I support turning all of Shrewsbury Street into the world's largest drive-through for a McDonald's, but we keep all the bars in place so you can just kind of like get drinks while you're slowly moving through the drive-through.
I like that.
First of
A
all, I
drive-through
wanna,
bar crawl.
Yeah.
Make a suggestion to the chair that the packages that we submitted to the clerk or to the staff are available to the public and on the city website and that kind of thing, because usually they are here on our desk and I'm looking for
Video
them, so I
store.
walked over
Yep.
to the clerk
That
and
didn't
asked
that
why
closed.
they weren't there. And,
Although we can't really put
and,
that one on the
you know,
city.
I'd like to see what my colleagues are doing.
That was
I
a
know
little
that
bit of
these
user error.
reports, even when we had the smaller questionnaire
It's a tough
or
time
fill
for
in
a
the
video
blank
store.
kind of thing that
I
we
think
had
that,
previously.
yeah. I
It
mean,
was
I haven't written
always
or talked
interesting
about
what,
why that
other councilors put for
went
narratives on it.
belly up, but
think
I
the
don't think
committee
I'm
did an
gonna.
excellent job on.
So
on
everyone
the,
can just
It
fill in the
happens.
blanks.
the questionnaire evaluation form, whatever we want to refer to it as. And I think they set the bar a little high, to be honest with you, with some of the, where the numbers were with the.
The Thing is one of the
outstanding,
greatest
exceeds
movies ever made.
expectation, meets
I would
expectation,
absolutely recommend checking
needs
it out.
improvement and unsatisfactory for the 1 through 5. And that's just my comments on that. I'm going to, Mr. Chairman, I'll ask the manager to excuse me for not looking directly at you sometimes while I'm talking, but you have this glow of a halo coming up from behind you. I know it's just the sun setting over Worcester. I think maybe your public relations team planned this just well, so there was a halo that came up over your head, just as some of us wanted to be creative or critical of the presentation today. But you know, I know Fred Nathan took credit for your appointment. I can remember there was one city councilor that was outvoted 10-1 on for a full-time contract, and that was George Russell. It wasn't Fred Nathan. So I want to clarify that, clarify the record on that. And that's why I kind of take some of the actions of this administration and the manager personally, the actions very personally for me, because I think it's a reflection on me and a reflection on all of us individually as councilors and as a group as councilors, and for that matter, a reflection on the whole city as we move forward. Mr. Chairman, Ted Kennedy used to always use a quote. I think it was a biblical quote, but Ted Kennedy was famous for saying something to the effect of, for those who are given much, much is expected. And the appointment of a city manager and the trust of putting the reins of being the chief executive officer of this city falls into that category. There is much to be expected, and much has been given in confidence by this council the first time around, and then recently when we renewed the contract. And I think that the manager overall has lived up to that.
Listen, we set really high expectations. That's why we
a good job overall.
we make them eat the
And
cookie.
I look forward to in my limited time as a councilor for the next few
Call.
months.
You should have
to
seen
continue
him.
to
Joe
my-
was there.
my work,
Yeah, Betty was
with
there.
him,
He saw it. You
going
should have seen him
forward.
eat that cookie.
To the folks here in the
No.
the audience that are city staff and the department heads, if I don't mention your department, consider it a compliment. That most, if not all, of the departments and the department heads do an excellent job, and I don't think there's a need to go through each one of them. I did try and use the outline that Councilor Bergman's committee used, so I'll just really quickly just hit on a couple of the highlights and flip through a couple of them. My overall number, when Josh from the city council staff added it up, because I had no intent on adding it up, I just gave honest opinions of where I was, came up to be a 146, which said it met expectations. It ended up in that category. So just overall, team building. You know, it's no secret that I'm always advocating for Worcester residents. It's no secret that I think that we should be doing as much as we can to put as much dollars in the entry-level positions. I think it's no secret that we should be doing as much as we can to encourage those who work for the city to live in the city, and to try and prioritize appointments for those who live in the city. I was disappointed in the last year or more where we lost a couple of department heads that basically changed a lot of the way we did business and went back to the communities that they lived in. I'm hoping that that won't happen with any of the recent appointments. I'm encouraged by some of the appointments that you've made at the top of your administration, Mr. Manager, and I look forward to working with them. I think that as a critical or as a suggestion, and this is something I've talked with you about personally, I think and you've done that with me sometimes when we're in a coffee shop and we kind of get cornered by people, but I think that's good. I really do. I think it's healthy. I think that it shouldn't be an issue that the city manager is talking to someone. That if there's an issue where someone is insisting on talking to the manager or wants to email with the manager, it should, you know, I know you've got all these different departments and, you know, a multi-million-dollar operation going on, and you've got more important things to do sometimes than to talk to specific residents. But quite frankly, I can't think of a more important thing sometimes than to talk to people and to understand where the community is coming from on a one-on-one basis. You know, Mr. Westerling appeared at a neighborhood meeting like he did in District 5. He did that in District 3. I think that was a great step forward. I hope that more of the department heads and you personally show up for more of those various different meetings, whether it be, you know, a development issue or whether it be just a regular neighborhood meeting, and have a random appearance at some of them to take questions from people one-on-one. I think it'll be good for you as a person, as an individual, and it'll help you know what this council gets for feedback, because that's what we are. Our job as a council is, I know that's, as far as I'm concerned, probably my biggest job is to relay the message of what's going on in the community to the administration so that we all work together to get done what the community is asking for.
It's literally not.
Mr. Chairman,
It's not what the
flip
job
through.
is.
I'm not going to go through each category. And again, I said that I expect this to be on public record, so anybody who wants to read it could take a look at it. Under housing, and some of the, it's no secret that I'm in the real estate business. We all want to see more units built. We want to see things happen. My concern is that some of the things that we've done over the last few years, I'm wondering if the implementation is happening as properly as it should be. And I'm hearing from people that are builders, that are in the industry, that do express concerns about some of these new things and understanding some of these new programs and regulations. And I think going forward, we need to do whatever we can to, obviously, safety is a priority and the first thing, but the reality is we don't want to discourage people from building. We don't want to discourage people from being a good landlord. We want to encourage them to do that, and we want to give them the tools to do that. You know, I was disappointed
I want to put them all in
to find
jail.
out that on the rental registry, many landlords, mom and pop landlords, registered their properties. I know I registered the few little rental units I have, and many other folks in
little
this
rental
room
units,
probably
as
did
if,
the same
like-
thing. But yet we hear that big corporations.
I'm okay with you
do
putting me in jail, Bill,
Well,
but
I'm
I need
concerned that
conjugal
the
visits.
administration is not following up on that, because that's not the message
Yeah, I
that
didn't
we
say,
should
like-
be sending. is
like
that we
scary
pass
jail,
a
just
rule
like
Okay, cool.
and
regular
big-
jail.
Big corporation passes on it or just says, gee, it's too much of an effort, and we don't make an effort to go after them. In the neighborhoods.
start watching Shot Caller again.
Mr. Chairman, I've been talking about it as long as I can remember, and I know we've tried to make some inroads and some positive things have happened along those lines, but you know, we've got a real problem in our neighborhoods, our urban neighborhoods, and I've said it multiple times on the council floor. I've said it many times on the council floor that we have a real problem in the urban neighborhoods as far as cleanliness. And it's a problem that, you know, that a barrel on a main drag, on Main Street, a receptacle might help a little bit in that area, but it's not gonna help on the side streets. And that's where our real problem is.
I know it's a mystery to all these
Our problem is
counselors
not in
why
the suburban neighborhoods, the neighborhoods like I
certain
live in.
neighborhoods may be
The
dirtier
problems
than
are
others.
in the
So this
urban
seems like the right
connected
time to remind everyone that
And
my
that
street gets
problem,
swept every
is,
week during the summer.
is definitely there. You know, Mr. Chairman, I was picking up my dry cleaning this morning at a tailor shop.
If you treat
on
immigrant
Grafton Street,
communities
and
with the same
sure enough,
respect,
I'm in there, and
how are you supposed
I
to
told
feel
you about this already, Mr. Chairman. and
Special.
the
like
lady-
special,
the
like
lady
you have
I
more of a claim to the place than
Don't
they
know
do?
her name. Maybe I didn't really even recognize her.
Come on, dude. That's what
Started
big single
talking to me,
family zoning
telling
was
me she
created
was,
for.
You know, wishing me well that I'm not running for
That
reelection,
and
et cetera.
fire barriers.
And then what comes out after that is that, gee, I've lived here all my life, and she was, you know, in her late 60s.
Newton Hill
early
being a
70s.
fire barrier is
I've
the
never
most
seen the
Worcester
streets
is
in
the
bad shape.
skeleton key to
That's what
understanding
came
everything
from that
about
resident
Worcester.
today. And you know what? I couldn't disagree with her. We've got a problem with our streets, especially our main arteries, that the construction that is being done, no matter who is doing this construction, it's not, we're not
Cambridge,
holding them. their feet
defining
to the fire
urban
as far
for
as
George Russell is
patching the
very
roads.
easy. It's where
Commissioner
where
Finn,
he owns
on
property,
his, way
urban.
out
Where
of,
he
the city,
resides,
put
suburban.
forward a policy about patching and about something that the Public Works Committee worked with him on about.
It's gotten awfully hard for me to read all this garbage.
Utility companies and private contractors that dig up the streets guarantee that patch for 5 years. Well, it's up to us as a city to make sure that the inspectors are doing their job and they're going out and doing it, not just waiting for a resident to call in a complaint. But that policy that he put forward also said about doing a patch from the yellow line in the middle of the street to the side. That's something that we should be doing. And all the utility companies, we brought them around that table. And I think most, if not all of them, agreed that even though they weren't bound under the policy, because the policy just came in now, they said they're more than willing to stand behind that 5-year look back on those sunken trenches, if you will, those potholes on those main drags. But why are they still there? That's got to be a question that we ask. We need to have the answer for going forward. My concern about some of the changes in city government, I appreciate the fact that the
These
manager
manager
and his team
evaluations
wanted
are
to
straight up just fucking
separate some
going
of
into
the
honeydew.
departments like the traffic
on
and
at
mobility
6
was
a.m. on
separated
a
from
random
Public
weekday
Works,
morning.
and then later on, the Parks Department is separated.
And another
And
thing,
I'm just asking that going forward, that we look for cost-cutting measures to bring together some of those departments and their services and ask ourselves as a city, why is there ways of cutting costs? Because we might be duplicating services, whether it be financial people in the office, whether it be support staff in the office, whether it be, you know, somebody that of use of a vehicle. Whatever we can do to try and merge those services together, I think we should be doing more to try to save money. I appreciate the efforts of the administration and the city manager personally, of course, on the two big projects in District 3 that I pushed for the last couple of years with Sunderland Road.
Have you considered
improvements
police?
in Roosevelt School, redoing the parking lot and the East Middle School. I know both of those are under construction right now. I'm very happy to see that they're on
Police.
track, and they hopefully will be done before the summer is done.
might I interest you
Mr.
in
Chairman,
some quality of life
I just
for
would like to say
your
that,
urban
you know,
neighborhoods?
I've always used.
Have you considered investing in
the
some
review of the
police?
city manager as like a self-evaluation of myself as a counselor, and what I've had accomplished within the district and issues that I brought forward, and I tried to use it also to try and set a goal for
They're
the
letting
future.
too
I'm
many
not gonna
people
set
out of
that
jail.
goal. I'm
That's
gonna
why
give you
there's
a
all
break,
this
Mr. Manager.
garbage
I'm not
around.
gonna set too many goals past the next 6 months, because that's the time that I'll be here. But I will say that this council needs to make it crystal clear to this administration, because I think that sometimes the administration is getting messages from different conflicting messages.
You ever think
on
about
the
how we
council.
live in a penal
And-
colony of
and it-
world
even though
historic
you might
proportions?
personally, Mr. Manager, agree
It's just like
with one side or the other
the
on
way
a
that
specific
it manifests
issue,
is
I think it's important that
shitty
going
real
forward,
estate agents
that
on
you need to
city
get a
council.
consensus and run with that consensus, because I think
Interesting.
that's
Fucking
the
fake
it's
union
it's a reflection on this
organizers
council, but it's
on the
also
city
the job of
council.
the council to set some
Lawyers
guidance,
who don't
for the
practice with
manager.
wealthy
And,
spouses.
you know, and many things we agree
Meanwhile,
with,
all
many
the
things we
real
don't agree with.
machinations of the state
And
occur
you
off
can't ask the
frame.
manager to be pulled in 10 different directions. And then what ends up happening is it doesn't reflect well on you and your administration. But I think that's a big challenge for you going forward, because at the end of the day, this is the legislative
All right, what you
body.
gotta do?
This is the body that represents the public that's out there. And whether you agree with us or you don't agree with us, we're the ones that are elected this time around. So if there's an election coming up soon, if the people who have different opinions come along, well, maybe that's what the public wants. But the bottom line is that we're bringing forward, as a council, a certain policies, and it's up to us to make sure that the manager follows through on those policies that we voted on.
There's a way of reading George
as
Russell,
approved,
how he's talking
and to
about this
make
right now,
sure
that he's like
those
finally
policies that
figuring
we
out
put
what the
in-
job is.
that we have put in place, many of which have been
He's having-
Just before the end.
He's having an epiphany. He's like,
how they're also
oh,
working in the community.
I'm
How
supposed to
they
bring
look
my
back,
residents'
a year,
concerns
2
to
years,
you,
3 years,
and then
say,
you're
okay, well, we passed this 2 years
bureaucracy's
ago,
under
3
you
years
with the
ago.
various
What has it
departments.
done? What has it improved? We've created this job or that job. in the
Remediate
administration,
the concerns of the residents.
For different positions that were done. Well, okay, well, what's it?
Oh, that's a pretty neat system.
You know, we've, many times during the budget process, even before you, Mr. Manager, with your predecessor.
To be
we've
perfectly
had
frank and honest with you,
positions
I
in
took
public
this job
works
so I'd
where
get
they-
a,
oh, it was
you
gonna
know,
cure the
early
root
heads
problem.
up on
We were
certain
gonna have the,
transactions.
you know, people that were gonna take care of all these issues, and the issues are still there. So, we've gotta, but those positions are still there too.
I wanted to make the city assessor afraid of me.
Because I haven't seen the cuts. So that's my concern and my criticism, if I have some. But overall, I think, good job, and continue, as they told me in politics, keep up the good work.
Shut up, dude. That sucks. So
Thank you. Councilor Pasillo?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to echo my colleagues and thank the MLO committee for a new evaluation. I know I asked for it last year, and it really is appreciated. It was definitely helpful to go through this and just kind of, it made it a lot better. So thank you, guys. This past year has not been easy for the city, for this council, for our constituents. I don't think it's a secret. It's been definitely a challenging year. And as I reflect on the city manager's performance, I try to stay grounded in consistent expectations, facts, and the spirit of shared accountability. So no one role or office can fix everything, but leadership does set the tone, and we need that tone to be clear, coordinated, and consistent. And for me, this review isn't only about the city manager. I know my colleagues mentioned this too. It's about all of the public servants working throughout the city. And I want to start by acknowledging the amount of work happening every day throughout every municipal department, from sanitation crews working outside today in 100-degree heat, to librarians and first responders. The strength of this city lies in its workforce, and I deeply appreciate their commitment. I know, you know, it can be challenging at times, and I really do appreciate how helpful everyone has been. So for individual performance factors, I'm going to kind of do a similar thing to Councilor Hyjai and just go through it. The city manager and his staff are prompt to respond to my phone calls, and the city manager is professional and helpful in our monthly meetings. We do not shy away from difficult conversations, and while we might not agree, the city manager is always respectful and opening to listening. The city's growing use of data and long-term planning through documents like the Urban Forestry Master Plan, the Green Worcester Plan, the upcoming Zero Waste Master Plan, Complete Streets, we could go through them all, shows a real commitment to sustainability and transparency. These are examples of city leadership meeting the moment with forward-thinking, well-communicated plans. They offer benchmarks for accountability, and it's something that we can all look at and focus on. Financially, the city remains on stable footing. Our bond rating is strong, reserves are in place, and capital planning has become deliberate and inclusive of all departments. Those are fundamentals that matter, and I commend the administration for maintaining that discipline. Mr. McGurthy clearly communicates the budget with the council with his monthly updates, the financial integrity plan, and specifically is always very patient with my weekly phone calls. We approve a lot of money on the council. We do a lot of transfers, and I go through every single one, typically on Monday or Tuesday mornings with Mr. McGurthy, and he explains all of it to me, which is very kind, and he is very patient. With public health and safety, I've seen firsthand how the city benefits from partnerships between Health and Human Service,
It'd be
various
freaking awesome
city
if no one
departments, and
knew why
local
that
and
kid was
state
back there.
organizations. I
But it
go
was
out with
just
the
like
Quality
that.
of
All
Life
right,
team
he's
every
just
other
back
month.
there.
And we do everything from pick up trash, check on problem properties, to offer services to people throughout the city. Dan Cahill and his staff are always kind and knowledgeable. When they stop to speak to a person, we were under the Green Street Bridge a couple weeks ago, cleaning up under the bridge. There wasn't a single person who wasn't happy to see the Quality of Life team. They know the people throughout the city, residents, unhoused folks throughout the city. They know the Quality of Life team by name. They're happy to see Angel and Rodney,
Dude, Jenny.
Joe Simone, all of them. And I mean, I have seen Dan Cahill and his staff literally just clean up around a person, offer them services, call Evis. Really, really
Interesting.
helpful,
That's
and
not
I
what
think
I've-
it's
that's not
important
what
to
I've seen.
acknowledge that. HHS and Dr. Robinson
I've seen
and
Dan
Veteran
Cahill and
Services have
Co.
worked to improve outreach
sit
to
there
veterans
with
throughout
their
the
hands
city.
on
I
their
think
guns
we've
while
made a
people
lot
pack
of
their
strides
tents
with
up.
that over the past year. This summer impact program last summer was helpful for Lincoln Street. They started a few weeks early, which was appreciated, and I look forward to this summer. Captain Lopez communicates with me frequently and is responsive to resident concerns. I meet with Chief Saucier every other month, and as I said before, I always appreciate his openness and respectful dialogue. Again, we might not agree, but he'll listen and we can have a conversation. The WPD has made strides in new policies, but I look forward to ongoing dialogue and building trust within the community. I also need to thank the fire department. I've received a number of compliments from residents over the past year. We had to call them at my house this past winter. My daughter was sick, and they were so professional, so nice, and they really do they took the situation, they took the stress level down. Affordable neighborhoods. City is in a housing crisis. This is something we discuss frequently, and we need to be developing 1,000 new units a year, which is a massive undertaking. The Curtis Street redevelopment project is underway in District 1 and moving quickly. It looks amazing. In addition to modern housing, residents at Great Brook Valley will be getting a new public library, a Boys and Girls Club, and the Tacoma Street Playground. This is huge for the neighborhood, and it means a lot. I'm looking forward to watching the progress, over the next few years. The Now Next and Housing Production Plan are promising, and I really appreciate the work of Peter Dunn and his department. For clean city initiatives, I will echo my colleagues. We all know that litter throughout the city, throughout the districts, has been a problem. I was very pleased with the crowdsourcing maps for public trash bins. And I know I say this all the time, but I'm really excited for the Department of Sustainability Zero Waste Master Plan. This is going to reduce waste, improve effectiveness, and make Worcester more sustainable. John Odell and his staff should be proud of their accomplishments. The Milwaukee Forest Project was great, and I was beyond happy when the Urban Forestry Master Plan passed. One thing I do always speak to Mr. Odell about is curbside composting. So I'm looking forward someday in the future to have that for residents. The collaboration with the Worcester Green Corps and local groups like the REC have helped clean up neighborhoods throughout the city. Inspectional Services took Councilor Calorio and I's request for help with rats seriously, which I also appreciate.
Post
They're
close at
raiding the
9 in New
sewers,
York.
And they definitely improved outreach to
Whoa.
residents.
How progressive.
I met with the new commissioner recently, and we spoke about problem properties. I'm looking forward to help with those throughout the district, and Lee Hall is always very knowledgeable and helpful, and it's appreciated. The Economic Development Office continues to impress. Michelle Smith in Planning has helped me navigate the ZBA and is actually meeting with some District 1 residents this week. The Cultural Development Office is innovated between Movies on the Common, art installations, and grants for artists. This helps build community, and it offers free activities for residents throughout the city. I appreciate their help with waiving fees and permits and streamlining the special event process, but it is still confusing. I recently had to help with a special event, and I found it incredibly challenging to navigate who had the permits I needed, were these permits all set? So I'm looking forward to the next steps to make it more accessible to residents. And finally, the Greendale Revitalization Project is moving quickly, and the partnership between the WBDC, Saint-Gobain, and our state and federal delegation is a great example of collaboration. This is a game changer for the Greendale Burncoat neighborhood. People still speak so fondly of Norton Company, and everyone has made sure to preserve the history of Norton Company. We're looking forward to hopefully 1,000 jobs, union labor building the site, and even something, it sounds so silly, but for the neighborhood to open up the road, to open up New Bond Street so we can get through to the Y. Burncoat is kind of disconnected, we're a little cut off. And it really seems so simple, but it means a lot to the neighborhood, so we do appreciate it. For high-performing government, the different department heads and people who work underneath them, I really can't say enough things. I'm just so grateful for all their help. So Commissioner Raleigh and Todd Crane, DTM, meet with me monthly, which I also appreciate because they're also very patient. The new Burncoat Street is amazing. I see people biking in the bike lane all the time. I see residents walking on the new sidewalks. I see people pushing strollers. I walk up and down the street often myself. It really just improved the vibe of the neighborhood. Sometimes Burncoat can feel a little forgotten, even though it's such a wonderful place to live. So having a new Burncoat Street really does mean a lot. DTM reacted quickly to the issues at Chester Street and Grove Street recently by partnering with MassDOT to improve safety. They've gone on numerous walk audits with me throughout the district. Mr. Crane and Commissioner Raleigh have met with residents. We've sat and watched traffic with people. It's been really helpful as a district councilor to have their support. DPW has made noticeable improvements, and I want to thank Commissioner Westerling for his leadership and also meeting with me monthly to discuss work throughout the district. 6 months ago, we were told there were 91 job openings in DPW, 91 job openings in a department that I feel a district councilor relies on consistently. I always need DPW's help. The administration and Commissioner Westerling have worked to fill these spots. Previous to the new pavement management program, the city was on a worst first basis of fixing roads. We can all see how that worked out because, to echo my colleagues, there are absolutely roads that need help, and I understand budget constraints. So the pavement management program is a promising step towards smarter, more equitable road repair. There is still more work to do, especially around coordination with transportation and mobility and DPW. But we are seeing signs of more responsiveness and better planning. Communication needs improvement, and I believe that there is work to be done when it comes to holding contractors accountable on construction projects. Burncoat and Midland Streets were challenged last summer. Even into the fall, there were times where it was contractors and construction crews just didn't show up for days, and it seemed as though it was really hard to hold them accountable. I recently found out that the gas valves were buried during the Burncoat Street resurfacing project. This was information it took me a couple of weeks to track down. And for Burncoat residents and residents throughout the city, it's not great to see spray paint in a brand new bike lane on a brand new sidewalk going up to people's houses. I was definitely frustrated at not knowing that this was happening. Much like Shore Drive, I understand that the private utilities can be tough to nail down and get information from, but I really hope this administration works to start holding them accountable. And as Councilor Carlson said, just give the city councilors an ongoing progress report for construction projects. I cannot tell you how many times I will take a turn in my own neighborhood and the whole street's under construction. And I check the website, like I genuinely check the website to see what's happening. So, residents ask us, and it would be really nice to have the answers ready for them. Continuing on with high-functioning government, the library has been a hub for community building and support. They engage with all communities, and through initiatives like the You Belong Here campaign, it just sends a powerful message of inclusivity. The Parks Department under Commissioner Antonelli has been great. My kids play at Schwartz Little League, and the fields are always clean and well kept. I know that they helped out the Little League recently with some improvements, and we are also excited for Tacoma Street to be finished. 311, Laura Cosenza consistently answers my calls, and she is another person who I appreciate her patience and knowledge. I go to her a lot with issues, and she always knows who to connect me to and how to help. She follows up, and that's not an easy job, I can't imagine. A couple of the things, we are still waiting on the formation of the 2 major advisory boards for African American and Black Affairs and the LGBTQ board, despite them being announced a while ago. These boards help us govern more equitably, and I really am looking forward to seeing them start. As for investment in quality education, I am a Worcester Public School parent, and I appreciate the teachers and staff at Worcester Arts Magnet. They've been great. The public schools partnership with the Worcester Public Library offers outreach programs, homework help, caregiver support for early literacy. The One City, One Library is great, but I do believe every elementary school should have a staffed library. This is a huge equity issue, in my opinion. Worcester Arts Magnet, we're fortunate to have a lot of parents and grandparents who can volunteer and staff the library throughout the school day.
Why don't time limits
happen
happen
elementary school is
for this meeting?
I do appreciate
every
being
councilor
on
gets
the
to
new
speak
burn
for a
coat
half hour.
committee, the new building committee for the new burn coat.
This
That's
isn't a
gonna be
review
another
of the
huge
city
boost
manager.
to the neighborhood, and
No one really has done that.
selfishly, obviously,
Cartel kind of
that's
did.
where my kids are going to end up. So I'm really looking forward to having that throughout the city, because
This
again,
stuff
it's the
feels gonna be
Arts
so sober.
Magnet program, and Worcester has so many great artists and so many wonderful programs. So it's great to see this being fostered. And I want to wrap up this evaluation. We can always do better. I can be a better city councilor. I can be a better mom. I can be a better human. And I think this is a great opportunity to talk
Definitely
about
a better mom.
what we've accomplished, what you've accomplished in your administration over the past year, and what we're going to do, or what you guys are going to do going forward. Because much like Councilor Russell, I will be watching from the sidelines and helping in any way I can over there. We're a city under pressure. We're growing quickly. There are economic and social challenges. Constituents have needs, and there is just so much going on at all times. And I feel transparency, accountability, and being data-driven really help lead the ship. And I believe the city manager is committed to Worcester's future. And I'd like to thank you for your help and insights over the past year. I really do appreciate all of our conversations and just helping with something as simple as removing a sign from Emily Street, or speaking with Hung and having the bottom half of Sagamore Road patched up very quickly, although it does need to be patched up again. But just everyone is so eager to help and point me in the right direction, or connect myself or residents with the services and people they need. And I really do appreciate it. And I said this last year, and I'm happy to say it again. I could not do my job as a district councilor if it weren't for the people in the administration and throughout the city who work tirelessly to assist us daily. It really is, even they were filling potholes in front of my house a couple weeks ago, because when I take walks around the neighborhood, I use my 311 app and I report potholes all over Burncoat. That's me when you get the notifications. And the street team came out, and my kids were psyched to see them. So we went outside to see if they needed water or anything. And the 2 guys filling the potholes were so nice. They were so down to earth. They're like, it's just great to see that, people in the community, they didn't know who I was, by the way. I didn't say, like, oh, do you know who I am? they just were genuinely really nice and kind. So it's great to see how hard everyone is working, and there's always more work to be accomplished. And like I always say, we can always do better. So I really am confident with the city manager and his administration that with everyone working together in an open, transparent way, we can continue to move the city in an inclusive, efficient, and sustainable direction. Thank you.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Okay, we have left. Councilor King or Councilor Toomey? Either one. Anybody want to speak? Councilor Russell's motion to adjourn?
Yes.
I'm like,
I love it when he
Councilor
does
King?
that.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No.
I just want to begin by saying thank you to your team. Thank you for the sacrifice you each individually make, often, sometimes paid and unpaid. Same goes for the city manager and the sacrifices that families have to make when they're sharing all of you with all of us. So thank you for that. I want to begin by a couple of things. First, I just want to speak to your team and some of the things that have already been spoken upon. I'm not going to belabor at this late hour. I'll touch briefly on some of them. You know, I really think that we are doing work. We're doing work with our youth. We're doing work with community engagement with our public safety folks. We are advancing with our engineering team, Department of Transportation and Mobility, moving beyond speed bumps to speed tables and the like. The pavement management program's a step in the right direction that will be greatly informed once the order that I filed and the operational audit relating to streets, roads, repavement, sidewalks, et cetera, is completed. Thank you, folks, for taking care of our seniors. That's much appreciated. Thank you for the efforts regarding affordable housing and the like. Certainly appreciate this council's unanimous vote for a temporary shelter for women, and looking forward to it being more permanent. Some of the direction that we're looking to take as relates to the unsheltered is much needed. When it comes to issues pertaining to our public waste bins, again, a step in the right direction. Hoping to see a little bit more on that end. I want to say a thank you to the administration, to the city manager regarding the special
Too hot in here to wear my
event
over-the-ear
permitting
headphones.
process and waiving 18 permitting reasons, 18 permits and associated fees that makes accessibility and quality of life for our people much more attainable. There's still some ways to go there, but it's definitely a step in the right direction. Mass hire, thank you so much. Worcester Jobs Fund, I'm going to miss some stuff here. But, you know, again, as far as financial health and oversight, certainly that's an area that we have over the last 10 years that I've been on, that we've really maintained our status in terms of bond ratings and the like. I think there's some areas for improvement there as well. But we're doing some of that work. The reorganization, we'll see how that plays out. You know, I think Commissioner Antonelli and the Parks have worked so much during my time on this council, and there's a lot of improvements that way, so we're particularly thank you for that. It was the public library, connecting with all different elements of our community and maintaining and trying to navigate public safety and worker safety, public access and worker access all at once, while providing a space for everyone. And that's certainly appreciated. You know, Mr. Chairman, managing, and I have some notes here, evaluating the city manager's performance is a challenge. We know that for the folks here, the department heads and like, that their frontline workers are the folks that reflect back to the community our abilities to provide services, our abilities to respond to crises, our abilities to respond to budget constraints, and more. And so those folks are a direct reflection, when they're engaged in community work, of their superiors, of the department heads, of the managers. Likewise, the city manager's team is a reflection of the city manager. And the city manager is a reflection of the council that's supposed to be providing oversight. And all of us are a reflection to and upon folks that come in our city and that live in our city. So I just want to kind of preface it with that. But this particular evaluation tool has been a long time coming. I pushed for a rubric for this position prior to City Manager Batista's onboarding here during his predecessors. It was voted down time and time again. I certainly appreciate municipal operations picking up on that leadership and bringing this across the goal line. So thank you to those folks. And so, again, lots of things that we're doing well. And having a working relationship with the outgoing superintendent, I think, is a positive thing. That's very much appreciated as well. But this evaluation of the city manager's performance remains a challenge. It's a challenge due to the absence of a formal evaluations for systems, evaluation system for departments overall and for department heads. Those folks and those departments deserve ratings. This is a discussion we had when city manager was the acting city manager. He was the assistant city manager. I've had those discussions, his predecessor, and now as a city manager. And I think that we will eventually attain that as we have this rubric that's recently come out. But it makes it a challenge. It makes it a challenge. Without that tool, we often have to rely upon our one-on-one responses to individual concerns brought by constituents, district councilors, individual concerns, and at times, same for the at-large councilors. And of course, community feedback to assess city operations and the quality of service delivery. As Vice Chairman of the City Council, I want to also acknowledge the strengths and challenges I see in the city manager's current leadership. Our city manager brings operational insight, fiscal responsibility, and a clear presence in our community. There's been a call for some more presence, but there is a presence in our community. He has demonstrated the ability to manage under tight constraints while remaining accessible and visible as he can be. And we're looking forward to expanding that availability as well as he continues to delegate. But we are in a critical moment, as mentioned by some of my colleagues, one where federal actions are directly impacting local government. All politics are local, and we're feeling that. We've seen it play out on Eureka Street. We've seen it play out in our budgets and in our budgetary forecasts. We've seen it play out in policy responses by departments and policy responses led by the manager and this body. They land squarely right here at the local level. All politics are local. And it is in these times, Mr. Chairman, that our top city officials, including the city manager, must consistently reach the whole of the community, ensuring that no neighborhood, no issue, or group feels unheard or unseen or treated differently. I raise these following matters as concerns that I am confident will be addressed moving forward. Safe workplaces. We've heard that from the library, heard that from the Office of the City Council. We've heard that in various aspects across the city in terms of from a worker's perspective.
You guys can't see him, but
I
Roman's
know
here. He says hi to
personally
everybody.
that in the
Hi,
city
Roman.
council office, when there's been a concern about hostile work environment, that's affected the work. It's affected the ability for counselors to complete tasks and to complete work. And it's the manager's responsibility to ensure that all workplaces are safe so that we can have a functioning operational service delivery provisions embedded in local government and in service of the administration. Reports of hostile work environments demand urgent attention and thorough investigations, not partial, thorough, and they have to be timely. And I've heard a number of times from a number of folks about that. Communication and public trust. Our city needs clearer and more inclusive communication, especially in tense or complex situations. You've heard tonight some of the councilors talk about wanting communication improved from the manager to the council, to the elected officials. And I think that we're moving on that. And I've seen some improvements. I look forward to see some more. Public health and housing. I brought this up repeatedly. HHS was mentioned today. The quality of life team, crisis response team that are out there grinding, local law enforcement assists upon request is real. We know that there's an uptick in folks with mental health challenges, opioid addictions, folks who are unable simply to afford the rent, the bills, folks fleeing from domestic violence that have nowhere to go. And we know that our local surrounding towns aren't doing their part, and we have those resources, and here they are. But, Mr. Chairman, and I've said this during the budgetary process, I'm going to repeat it now. We are not scaling our health and human service capacity fast enough to meet the rise in housing insecurity, to meet mental health needs, addictive crises, etc. We are not scaling our health and human services capacity fast enough. I've called for staffing analysis. I've been told over the past 3 fiscal cycles that, hey, this is the request of HHS, but what we see from the eye test is that we need more. But we know that it's one of the lowest funded departments in the city. And I hope that we do more and that we choose. I hope the city manager chooses to do more in terms of funding and staffing before we're required to do so based on the needs. Public safety and the trust gap. We know there's a growing divide between safety institutions and community trust, and this must be addressed by both the public safety chief and the city manager together effectively. City facilities, very concerned about deferred maintenance. It's a citywide issue. And of course, I relate that as well to our schools. And we know that you're engaged with them. We know that we as a body are directing funding for that. We're engaging in securing bonds for the larger products. But we've had city councilors here advocating for schools on the east side and the west side. And we got to do more, Mr. Chairman. You know, inclusive decision-making. And this goes to our boards and commissions. I've expressed to you directly my concerns on a number of levels. I know initially it was the elimination of the Diversity and Equity Inclusion Committee, combining that with Health and Human Services, my concern about the different charges and responsibilities that each had, which was significantly different, and how that would play out. And I asked for flexibility and on your end, and that we take a look at what those needs may be. It was mentioned the 2 commissions that I introduced to the council were supported unanimously, the LGBTQ+ Commission and the African American Black Commission, both of which are dedicated to inform, guide, and suggest policy for the city of Worcester. And they haven't happened. I think it's been almost 2-3 years, maybe 3. And this is very important work. But we have to have inclusive decision making that includes those bodies, and that includes folks here. The ongoing saga, I'll call it, with Human Services, Human Rights Commission. If I said Human Services previously, I meant Human Rights. That particular matter and how it continued to play out in the media. There's a front-facing aspect to this position, and I'm hoping to see some improvement there. We've gone from legal issues to issues of public access here in City Hall. I came in today. It's a sign up. You got to sign your name in to come into City Hall. I don't know if that's a requirement or a suggestion, but as I mentioned previously, I don't do that when I go to the State House, and it's a bit much. It's a bit much. I think there's aspects that I hope that we can be nimble of, and this building, as I understand, is under the purview of the city manager. I believe that the administration should involve the public, comment, and be more collaborative and open. But these are real challenges. These are real challenges, but they're also opportunities. Opportunities to focus on more transparency, a commitment to serving all of Worcester. And I expect our city leadership and the office of the city manager to rise to that moment, Mr. Chairman. Accountability is a must, as they say, and there's no question about you standing up and taking responsibility, even when there's joint responsibility. We go back to the press release prior to the release of the DOJ report and the collaboration between you and the office and Mayor Petty, and you took that bullet, and I respect that. I want to make that clear. Accountability is not something you hide from. However, I'm a former college basketball coach, college basketball player makes a mistake, my bad, coach. Happens again, my bad, coach. At some point, that has to change. Standing up and taking accountability is one thing, but what are you going to do about it? And I think there have been things that you've taken accountability for and you've moved forward on. When it comes to removing the police chief and the deputy chief from service, what is it? Civil service. That was no easy feat. There's a statewide impact there. You had to work with the leadership of the police department. You had to work with the unions.
Freaking mic stop.
And there's also a public perception piece that you had to manage your way through.
Not that I have anything to
and
say.
You did that adeptly in that instance. And I'm looking for more.
I just
of that.
noticed that. I don't know. I have no idea how long it's been broken.
Accountability.
Man, this feels like 10 hours.
Has to be had.
This is an obnoxiously long meeting
We know
where nothing is being done.
This is like they're
that they
inflicting
wanna see a
punishment on
little
each
bit
other,
more in
right?
terms of
By
services and operations.
doing this.
We've seen some turnover.
Can we all be adults and admit
cabinet.
that that's what's happening here?
Yeah.
And that impacts
They,
things. So I'm hoping to see some more stability there. Going back again
I
to
hope
facilities.
to God Kate isn't going to tell me. I have a feeling.
Very concerned about deferred maintenance. Nick thinks about the Lincoln Tunnel here. I just drove by it the other day, and the memorial there that was outside the old Lincoln Square Boys Club's gone. I don't know where it went to, but it's gone. It's not there. It doesn't exist. It's demolished. And then we have things on top of the tunnel, and then we're hearing, hey, it costs millions of dollars to repair. It reminds me of the issue with the pools, and us letting those go too far, and all of a sudden we can't afford to fix things. So I know that we have new facilities people.
Interesting. Okay.
We had,
All right.
Ms. Lynch that left, and I'm looking forward to
Maybe
all
next year
those things.
we try having them
showing some
submit their reviews by
At the
email,
base of all of
and
this,
then they
it
critique
goes
each other's
back to
reviews for the whole meeting.
Yeah.
That's a good
one of
3-hour
the
meeting.
positive
Do it like book
aspects of
club
the city
style.
manager. Grew up here, went
Yeah,
to high school,
I'm
went to
into
school
that.
here, has his family here, remains here, and is committed.
This is fine. This is fucking brutal.
That is a reality. That is unquestioned. People have questioned your integrity. they've questioned your honesty. And what I'll say to you is this. One thing you can't do is chase a lie. My mother always told me, don't chase a lie. If there's corrective action that must be made in terms of government, in terms of city administration, in terms of how you manage, then
13 minutes ago, the
what's most
polls are
important.
not looking good in New York.
Staying focused and staying true.
It's neck and
Because
neck,
a lie
but
only
most of them
lasts
are giving
for
it to
so
Cuomo.
long. A lie only lasts for so long. And sooner or later, what's being said will be a reality or it won't. Now, I'm very proud to live in Worcester. I'm very proud to serve here. And there's been some comments about, over the years, about city manager and not having any direction from this council because of
the weirdest allergies
split
right now.
votes.
I don't know what the allergies are.
At the end of the day, this is for the public.
It's the
At the end of the
post-nasal-
day,
nasal drip that makes
when the
me cough
majority
like
rules
crazy.
on the council, the majority rules, the
Very
manager has
uncomfortable.
no decision other than to honor that decision, regardless if he agrees with it or not, unless there's something illegal, unless it's something that's going to significantly impact the safety and security of folks in the city and folks who come through the city. Mr. Chairman, I want to close with, again, reiterating, we want more inclusive civic engagement here in Worcester. We really do. I want to, again, commend the manager. I've never questioned, and you know this for a fact, I've never questioned your knowledge of the operational needs of this city. You knew it before you were an assistant city manager. That's why I have high expectations. You know what needs to be done. Now, the political piece and that navigation's separate. You know, you have a team here. I call them the spin team, and I'll refer to the cycles. Talking about the spin team, I call them, who I think can be a great asset to your public presenting side, which I think needs some work. But your understanding of departmental operations and fiscal management is not questioned. We know the community demands for limited resources. These aren't minor concerns, Mr. Chairman. They speak to the foundation of effective, responsive city government. With intentional leadership, transparency, and a renewed commitment to community-centered service, the city manager can address these challenges and lead Worcester forward in an even more equitable way and in a more accountable direction, Mr. Chairman. Now, my colleagues, again, have highlighted so much. There's so much we're proud of. And I'm looking forward to continuing to push and continuing to work with the city manager on moving our city forward. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. We have Council Toomey.
No.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, Mr. Manager, while this is your performance review, it's also reflective of the hard work performed by every one of our city employees. It's been a challenging and tumultuous year with more to come that may impact our economy. But you have presented solid visions, goals and objectives, and plans with the ability to pivot when there is a challenge presented. Your recognition that Worcester is growing and changing, and so are our needs, is critical to the planning process. You are data-driven. You have recognized the challenges facing our city with housing, inflation, substance abuse disorder, chronic and acute homelessness, gun violence, an aging housing stock, the high cost of living, and issues with traffic.
Chat GPT'd this.
Much needs to be addressed. And
I don't know
even
if
though
anybody in
you've
the chat or
already
you,
done a
Brendan,
lot of
have
work,
been
we still have more to do.
tuned into
That's the way it is
the
every
controversy
day,
about
right?
the new
Your
AI
focus on diversity
learning
and
assistant that the
inclusion
Worcester
has
Public
made
Schools
great
is rolling out.
strides, and our city
No, I've
families
heard nothing
are
about this.
reflective of
It's
that
called
diversity.
Amira.
The new
I mean,
police
luckily,
safety
like
class, the fire department
Ashlyn,
participated in DEI
just
training.
because I read Ashlyn's
Critical
stuff
that our
every week to get it
employees
up,
understand
she
many
keeps me abreast of
communities
this.
that we have here and the building of trust,
I'm
which is so
planning on
necessary
writing
to
about it
effective
this week a little bit in the
community
context of some of the
engaging our citizens,
like
especially
really
when they're
harrowing
in
national
difficult
stories about
situations.
OpenAI and
It is
ChatGPT.
also important
Did you read
that
the
all
Rolling
of our
Stone one
employees, whether
about the guy who got
executives,
freaking
mid-management, clerical laborers, and all in
like
between,
convinced to do
know
suicide
that
by
there is a
cop?
path to grow in
No.
their careers,
By
that they are
ChatGPT.
appreciated for their arduous
Send you
work
that
as
one.
public servants, for the work they perform
But
every day.
yeah, it's
I appreciate the initiative
called
you've set up
Amira,
and
and
hope that we will continue to
some
ensure
parents are
that
upset
every
about
employee
it,
is
and
compensated
it
equal to
seems to be one of the
industry standard to ensure
more
that they can make a living to
innocuous
support their
AI
families
companies.
and are able to
based
live
on
here
my
in
just
Worcester.
like spending like an
With
hour
the cost
Googling.
of living and housing increasing, especially affecting our
But
lower
that
wage
still, I
earners
mean,
and our
it's the
seniors,
same
outside
tech
the box
and
solutions are needed.
I don't know.
Budgeting and
It
fiscal
feels like there's
management,
something there.
inclusive of economic development, all play a role.
Just to talk
in
about
future
like
stability.
anything, but
Yeah.
anything.
I'm
but
looking it up while you're talking.
Yeah.
All those departments are working well
Let's
together.
There's something that I
Funding
find like on the one hand, I
continues to
don't
be
want to be
stable
completely
and
cynical
enviable
about
with a AA bond rating.
artificial
Yet,
intelligence, right? And like the example I
I
always
would be
use is
remiss
like if
not to
you're a
include,
young woman
as
now,
I did
like
last year,
there's a near
the
0%
request,
chance if you live in a
economic
Western
development
country
also
that like breast cancer will be a reality, right? Because like even
extremely
locally, like
desirable for
everybody's
future
using
business.
AI for screening
I
breast
am
cancer now, and
incredibly
the rates of
grateful
early detection
for
have like skyrocketed.
movement towards Burncoat.
But that's like
My children
super
take,
like
the
like
RTI
lofty,
youth
like really
program
good idea.
over
I
there,
wish that there
and,
was
it
like
is
in
going to be a
education,
wonderful
like
addition
use it the
to
same
our
way, right? Like
city
find the really
schools
fucking the kids with
and
really
much
cool
needed.
talents by like
Focusing
feeding
on
like an
addressing the
assistant
needs
to a
of our
teacher,
youth
not an
aids
assistant to
in
the
providing
student. Like
healthier
I feel like
environments to
that's
ensure them
just
to
making
stay
it
involved in
easy and driving us closer to a place where hey, do we really need teachers anymore, or we just have this cool tech? When we could be finding out like who are the really talented kids that have abilities that your average teacher isn't able to hone in on.
Yeah.
In the same way that we're say screening for cancer detection.
Yeah, the thing that makes AI bad is not like the source code or like the functions. It's the profit incentive. Like almost all of these like harrowing stories you read about OpenAI or ChatGPT is like gets back to the just the basic business model of social media where the thing just wants to keep you engaged with it.
Yep.
That's all it needs. It's just your attention
I
time.
know firsthand how great
Yeah.
that training
And
is,
if
and what a
your
valuable
attention
tool
time
for our
means
officers
that
to do their
it's
job
going to
and
convince
build
you that
trust
you're
in
the
community.
Messiah
I
and
appreciate your
need to
support
divorce
for
your
enhancing
wife
our
and
police
start a
department's
cult,
toolbox by supporting the
then
Chief
it's going to do
Crime Gun
that. It's just
Intelligence
going to
Unit,
do that.
ShotSpotter,
It doesn't
updated
care.
safety
No,
equipment,
it's just
summer
sending you
backpacks,
down the doom
staffing
spiral because that's what's keeping the
youth
attention.
agenda.
Yeah, and that's the part that's just so dark. And it's, I mean, in my head, I guess I'm
Thank you for
too old
supporting
school of a
continued
nerd, where
classes
it's
for the
like, yeah,
police
this
and
is still
fire
the shit
academies.
that's
I
supposed to
hope
save
that
the
there will
fucking
be an effort
universe,
to
right?
focus
And
on
and
support
somebody just made a
retention
comment about
and
like
effort
jobs. Like, yeah, I know. I don't want to fucking work.
While
I
we're
want
grateful for
computers
the
doing
five
all of my
classes
fucking work for
graduated
me, and I
from
want to
the police
enjoy
departments
life
that could
and
be a
like
help.
pick up
We need to
1,000
focus
hobbies
on
that I'll
retention.
never have time for.
There are
Like,
other
yeah, that's the
departments
future
right
that's in
now
my
that
head.
are
But
offering
instead,
$5,000
it's just going to be
bonuses
plugged into my
for
fucking whatever screen
across the state.
I will have for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
Being fed
In more
mindless
supportive
drool.
environments and
Yeah, you just
appreciation
take
from the
a new tax
We
on
are
just like your
currently
mental
down
well-being.
36
Uh,
positions in
yeah,
addition
but I
to
mean,
20,
it's
IOD
like
military
I don't
deployments in
know.
our police
There's
department.
if there's
While
any
we have a fast
Firestone
I believe there's
heads
18,
in the chat.
there are many eligible to retire, and many
Read that
consider
book last year,
transfer.
but like
I appreciate the efforts to
the
obtain new apparatus,
freaking
deployments,
cybernetics
delayed,
and
improvements to infrastructure,
like
continued
that used to be like
investments in
a
safety
a radical
I'm thrilled to
feminist
see self-sufficient is being built as soon as possible, especially
what am I saying?
recognizing the growth
Like a radical
opportunities
feminist
in the area.
idea put
And hope
forward
we, at the
by
very
a
least,
woman with
continue to
Firestone
upgrade conditions of the police
that
department,
that could be the
whether
way
it's
of
long-term
emancipating
full
like
replacement. I also
emancipating
continue to
humanity from
support
the patriarchy
interdepartmental
once
crisis
and for
training,
all is if you
not
just
only for
use
physical
cybernetics to
disasters,
get
but
rid of
cyber
the
disasters
the
as
need
well.
for
With all
women
that's
to
going on
be
in the
the
world,
ones
we
that
must
give
be
birth,
prepared for
right?
potential disruption in our daily lives. It is through continued training and
And
exercise
it's it's like, yeah, in a society oriented that way, sure. But our society is oriented towards like how many, you know, bunker buster bombs can we build? We're not going to get noble or righteous AI unless it's a byproduct of something else, which is unfortunate. Because byproducts are still products, like just like say what you said about the breast cancer, all the medical research, like that's a
Parks and
byproduct,
Recreation
but it's
proven
still
to
good.
continue to
So it's really
frustrating.
conflicting.
Build season
No, and
is also
that's all I
less
mean is, and
than
I'm saying it in a clunky way. I just wish the things that we consider byproducts were
but there needs to be
the
an
actual
effort to
focus.
address the
Like
impact
everything
of
else is
sewage
just
overflow
garbage, and we
on
know
Lincoln
it's garbage.
Civic
Like
and the
Yeah.
Blackstone, as
we
well
know
as
that like
overgrowth of
social
tree
media will
vegetation and
go
erosion,
down
which we heard
in
last
what
night.
short amount of history we have
Public
left
works
as being the
infrastructure
best
is
example of like,
always
we thought this would be fun,
I hear
and we
about
ruined
potholes
fucking everything.
wherever I go, as I'm
Yeah.
sure you do.
And we're doing the same thing over again when
also
all
hear
of the
about
really
sidewalks,
fucking awesome use cases are
and,
just
trash bins and all
staring
the
us right in the
things that
face.
everyone else has
Yeah.
mentioned. This is New
Yeah.
England and the home of free thought.
And that
So
ultimately
it's
is the part
always
that
going
is
to
really
be
gross, because to your point,
but
it
we
is
need
all
to
just
look
about
for
chasing the
innovative
dollars.
solutions,
And
to address,
I mean, I guess I get that from like a business sense, but like again, you're looking, you're
and believe that you're
you're
exceeding
pitching technology that should be able to remove the dollars from the equation.
I thank
So
you
like,
Yeah.
and
what is
all
the
of your
point?
city departments for the incredible work they have
Surveillance,
done. There have been several
surveillance,
awards won.
surveillance
Excellent
capitalism.
service by many
It's
of
a
our
new, it's a new
employees and
currency.
I know there are many unsung heroes. And I
And
want
when
to
you,
thank
and that's, I
every
mean,
employee
I know Kate is probably saying something riveting here, but that's where it gets just completely fucking ludicrous. Like, you spend enough time paying attention to Peter Thiel, and you realize that technologies like Palantir really only exist because he truly believes that we are on the verge of an apocalyptic antichrist figure coming into play, and he wants Palantir to be the one to identify it for him for his bizarro religious beliefs. It's like how is anyone taking these people seriously?
Yeah. It's like it's just the whole culture of it's like
Thank you,
built
Council Corio had to go home ill tonight.
disincentivize you from being
She's
serious.
here,
You have to be a
congratulations
carnival
to the,
barker. You have to be like a
chief clerk.
huckster to like rise
Just
to the
remind all the
top.
councils
Yeah.
before you leave, if you haven't submitted already, please submit your evaluations to the clerk. And Mr. Manager, you have a few words to say?
Oh,
Yeah, I
God,
won't
are
take
you
long, call you
serious?
another half hour or so. Just kidding.
Uh,
One is extremely hot in here. I'm sweating. It's not just because I'm under the the hot seat right now. I'm also trying to get through this cold. First and foremost, I want to thank the cabinet, the staff, the entire municipal workforce.
Batista looks like he has a cold, but he's wearing it well. He's wearing the slightly disheveled thing pretty well, I gotta say.
To be a public servant,
9
especially
p.m.
when
Polls are closed.
There are extreme issues and challenges that are outside of our hands that we have to manage and deal with, that are dropped in front of our lap, and we have to figure that out. So I want to thank all of them for the work, especially the cabinet members who, the ones that we recently recruited, the folks who have stayed on for a long time.
I have a who sent this
little by little,
NPR
the
story in
cabinet
my
has become
tabs
kind of that body that I've
about
been able to
Google
kind of
and
work and put
Microsoft.
together with them.
Yeah,
and we've been able to
Cambridge.
do some great things together. There's been some real conversations in the cabinet.
Did you read the
meetings,
one
some
about
real trainings, things that are
Rock
important for
or
the
just
safety of our
Twitter's
community.
AI is just straight up
Second of
gassing
all, I also want to
Louisiana,
thank my immediate
like
staff in the
city,
city manager's office, from the comms team, who
with
spends
emissions,
significant amount of work upstairs,
like
up
worse
there,
than a new highway project.
to the leadership of Hung and Amy. That team is
Asthma
what
rates
really,
are
it's a
rising
young
and
team.
stuff.
It's a very young team,
I'll find it.
but it's also probably one of the most diverse teams the city manager's office has ever seen, and I'm proud of that. We have a number of individuals who are dedicated to the city, who are either born and raised in the city, who have migrated to the city. We have a good number of immigrants in my office. And I value you for your input, your insight, your candor, and your openness. We had a debrief moment when we debriefed Eureka in my office. And it was an emotional moment, and I appreciate my team for doing that. Because those are the times when the teams need to come together and talk, debrief, figure out what we do forward, and how do we move forward. So I appreciate my immediate staff for that. But there's a lot of more work ahead. Has been communicated today. We got a lot of homework, guys. We got a lot of homework to do. Not only I want to thank the council for the support, but I also want to thank the council for the crew.
Why does it sound like he's taking a victory
The
lap?
strength of any
Oh, man.
organization, any body, whether it's nonprofit, private sector, et cetera, the
I
strength
hate
of
this
every
city.
organization is learning how to be better in the moments of fire, the moments where it's tough times,
Oh, man.
how to be better, how to come better prepared, how to work together as a team, and how to deliver exceptional service. We may not always get it right. We're never going to always get it right. We're not perfect individuals. No person in this world is perfect. So we're not going to get it right all the time.
You know what
We're
is
gonna try
ridiculous
our
though,
best
Bill,
to
is
do
like as
what we
silly
can to
and
make it right. We're gonna learn
effectively a
from
waste
best
of
practice.
everyone's
We're gonna
time
look
this
at
is,
data.
well,
We're gonna go to
important.
conferences.
You know,
We're gonna look
because
at
it's actually an
national,
interesting race. Like
ways
watching
that
a lot
people
of
are
like
doing. We're
the
gonna talk to
debates
all the
and
communities.
commentary in
We're
New
gonna
York.
spend a lot of time
Yeah.
today
New York
talking
isn't much
to
less silly.
all the municipalities, federal
Yeah,
government,
right,
state
right. That
government,
has actually been a
trying to
little bit
understand
heartening.
how do we as a city become better?
To
How do we
know
improve our
that,
processes?
like,
Talk to a lot of technology companies, software
like
companies. How do we
Cuomo
improve
is
our
such a
processes?
silly candidate.
Right? How do we
Oh,
communicate
ridiculous.
better?
Cartoon
how do we
character.
create better
How do
marketing
you
strategies?
how do you
What are the things
try
that we're missing?
for that
Who
job
didn't
after
listen to? Are we
the
missing
way you
that
left
smart?
that
Who
other
else are we
job,
missing?
right? It's crazy.
And that is what is the strength of
And with that
a
level of
strong
support,
team, a strong
that's
community, and I believe
Yeah, well,
that
I mean, it's
that's
just
what
the
we're doing
entire like
as,
fire
as an
industry,
administration.
which is
I've always said,
the
whether in
only
cabinet or to staff, that I
industry in
always
any
feel like
city
we need to put a sign
these
outside
days.
that
It's
says
just
under
like
construction,
so
because we're doing a lot of
against
great work internally.
anything
Because
Sauron's talking
if you think
about.
about it, since
Mm-hmm.
COVID
So they're just
until
dumping
now,
money in there.
there's been a high demand for high quality service.
Did you
from
listen to
municipal
his interview with Derek Thompson
all levels.
this past week?
And that is coming from the
Cuomo's?
community. And
No,
so the more people move into the
No,
city,
no, I didn't.
over
It was actually
200,000,
really good, and he had. It was kind of
the
cool
more
that he came
demand
on
they're
because
gonna
he's
demand
been.
for us to be
He started
faster,
using the word
nimble,
abundance like intentionally
more
in a lot of
inclusive,
his campaign
equitable
material. So
in
Derek
everything
Thompson,
that we
Master
do.
Plan's co-author,
So it's putting pressure
had
on
him
us
on
to
his
move faster.
podcast this week, and
And then
yeah,
sometimes
it was
when
just
we
a really
move
cool
fast,
conversation.
we move too
Like,
fast.
I'd say
Or
they
sometimes we
agreed
move
on
too
probably
slow
like
because we're thinking about it,
85% of
right? But that's
the things
what
that came
it's
up,
all about.
with maybe just a little bit of
wanna get
nuance
it
in
right.
there. It was.
And we as a team, we want to do
Interesting.
that. And as an
I
administration,
find that
we
whole
wanna do it. So we're
conversation really,
dedicated
really
to the strategic
interesting
plan. It's a
because
tough
it
plan. There's a
depending
lot of
on
ambitious
like
goal there.
starting with the
overall
angle of
vision is
the
ambitious.
commentator that
To be
you're
the best
listening
managed
to,
city in the
it's
country,
like everyone
right?
loves this, everyone
It's
hates
a very
this. It's
ambitious
probably one of the
goal.
best examples
But we
of
have
like
to strive to that. We got to do what we can
like
to
bubble
achieve that
centric
and
or
hold
like
ourselves
just policy
accountable to that. I'm a strong believer
political
in
theory
performance
existing in a
evaluations.
bubble
I believe in
and
this.
not being
Yeah.
able
We
to
want to
break out.
implement it into our staff, into our teams.
That I've seen in
And
recent
this year,
time
the
anyways.
FY26 budget, we're starting that process
For sure.
to do that. That's why we took an approach on the pay equity analysis to create better structures and better alignment of our staff so that we can evaluate ourselves and evaluate them.
We
on
might
their
not know a
performance.
winner
They
till
deserve
next
the right
week.
to know how well they're doing and what can we do to
See,
improve
that's
them and
silly.
help
That
support
is
them
silly.
and upskill
I
them.
mean, I like ranked choice
as
voting
well.
generally.
Yeah.
But the crazy
And I
thing
don't-
is that we're
I
doing
think
all
it's
this
fine if it
in the
takes
midst of significant uncertainty,
longer if
significant
it means
fear,
that races are
and
competitive.
significant anger. All of you are doing that. All of us, city council, look, we're all doing that in the midst of all of this, right? And that fear, uncertainty, and anger, you see it on this floor, you see it on the streets, you see it in the news, you see it in the national level. We're seeing that everywhere. But we need to understand, and these things are interest rates, inflation, economy. We're potentially getting to a recession. Social justice issues all this stuff is the uncertainty and fear that is driving us a little crazy, and we're trying to navigate to that. We're trying to put policies in place. We're trying to figure out how do we fund more with limited funding, not raise taxes, but also do more, right? And how do we balance all that? But I think us collectively, as an administration, as a city council, one, in FY25, we've gotten better. We're getting better. We're doing great. And I look forward to FY26 because we're going to do even better. There's a lot of good things that are coming
That was a
forward in
perfect place to
FY26
wrap it
that
up,
this
Eric.
leadership here is committed to. There's a lot of great stuff that's going to come forward in this budget. It might have been just a simple budget, but there's some real great things happening in our departments and with our staff that I'm extremely grateful for. And I hear it.
Staten Island is all in
from
for Cuomo,
my T-ball
if you can
games, from my
believe it.
4-year-old,
Shocking.
to the grocery
Yeah.
store, to the restaurant on a Saturday night when I'm just trying to have dinner, to going to Price Chop, you name it. I'm hearing it from people in this community of either the good things or how bad we're doing. I hear it from all over, even from my own family. I hear it, right? I get the calls. Hey, why did I get a parking ticket? Hey, we haven't filled this pothole.
Yo,
I get
Eric,
it from my own
don't-
family. So it's important, and I think that for
Don't be
us,
talking about how
that's
you
what
take
makes
care
us
of your
who we are,
family's
public
parking
servants.
tickets. Like I think that's
We're always willing to listen. We're always
Listen,
willing to
I'm
work
not gonna
knowing that this job is a tough job.
Where am I watching
you're
the
still
NYC
committed to
results?
show
I'm
up,
just
and
on the
I'm
New York
extremely thankful
Times.
for all of you. Please are willing to believe in me as the city
Have you
manager,
guys
to
seen
lead
that?
not only
So the
Como
call
View,
sheet
but also
that
the
Brendan
city.
sent us
Again, thank
earlier.
you for the council support. Thank you for
They
the
had
staff. We got more
pre
work
8
to do, and I'm
o'clock had
happy to
Andrew
continue
Cuomo at
to serve in that role.
60-ish cents to win. It's now flipped. He's down to 39. Zoran's up at 62. Now these markets are very reactionary, but
yeah,
it's interesting.
Motion to adjourn. All
So
those in favor?
it's
So ordered.
a sports betting market, but on elections.
It's just predictive market in general.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the thing is that they tend to be pretty spot on, but I think what Brian's getting at is, well, because they're markets, like all it takes is like a handful of coordinated whales to come through, and you can tank a bet, a prediction while also hedging against it.
Yeah.
And people are making fortunes off of these setups.
Right. But the decision desk. I'll drop this link in the chat too.
43.
To actually follow the.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't share it with everybody. I left just in our group chat.
Uh-huh. All right, let's drop that out.
Look at this guy's swag.
Come up.
When it comes to
See, this should make us feel better, guys.
history that
Their live. This is
specifically
a Worcester,
in terms of,
New York
running
equivalent of
this
Worcester sucks.
really rose
Their
guarding.
live
Also, did you guys?
not that great.
Did you get?
One-on-one?
It's really not that
Have you
great.
seen
Listen
him
to that.
loosening up in any way? And will you get?
We should give ourselves a little
to
pat on
speak
the
with
back
him
that we
tonight?
figured some of these things out.
The entire
I'm
world.
certainly hoping to get an opportunity to speak with him.
Yeah.
I did have the opportunity after having many virtual interactions with his main press guy.
I don't
Rich
actually.
Yeah, ours is better.
I finally got
Yeah,
to
ours
I
is
mean,
better. Fuck you,
not
Hellgate.
not tonight. My
So,
my shit's
perhaps a rapprochement
terrible looking, but
between Hellgate and the Cuomo campaign.
yeah, ours is generally as good as this.
If not,
did you guys see the photo of Cuomo's party? It's
No.
fucking empty right now.
Oh, really?
Cuomo's
Yeah.
election party.
Yeah.
So I am not I don't usually pay attention to the primary in New York because there's no one to pay attention for. It's just one Democrat goes against the Republican.
Yes.
Right. But
Cuomo
can run as an independent.
And essentially that is likely what's going to happen.
Okay.
But who knows? I mean, it depends. I guess it all depends on how tonight goes. Or
Yeah.
How this goes. What the numbers are actually like.
Right. Right.
Yeah, 38%
I read something.
reporting. He's got 43%. Zoran does.
Nice. I like that. It'd be cool if they were able to call it tonight, but I don't. They said it's going to take a little bit. I don't know where I read that. New York Times. I love when I say they. Like, who is possibly they anymore?
Yeah, I don't. It's not. It shouldn't be clear tonight what's actually going to happen. We'll find out.
But it's not a blowout for Cuomo.
Doesn't seem to be there. I mean, it's 38% of the vote is already reported. So I mean, that's a healthy chunk for it to be.
Right.
For him to be ahead.
Yeah. That's exciting.
But yeah, I mean, we're gonna see. It's huge if he gets this win, and then we'll see how they try and rat fuck it. But I don't know. That's all that stuff is like. It's just getting more towards the realization, I think, of most people that we're not in the same party as I'm not in the same party as Andrew Cuomo.
Right.
And I don't think I'm in the same party of anybody that supports Andrew Cuomo.
Yeah.
And I don't know that these things are not sustainable long term for us to be and for Democrats to think that they can survive. They should know that when you ran a campaign, a national campaign this time around to the right, much further to the right than the last national campaign you ran, and the difference between, winning handily and getting your fucking asses kicked handily was seemingly how much, the progressive vote affected you. If they can't figure that out, then it's not stupidity, it's willful. They would rather lose than risk a more progressive,
I would just stop you that they would rather lose.
They would it's just
Yes.
easier that way.
You can still
they
fundraise,
want,
and you don't have to do anything.
they want, yeah, exactly. They want Republican policies, and they want the money of Democrats. That's really what it comes down to. Yeah. So.
Yeah.
You get to fundraise. Everyone keeps their jobs. Nothing has to change.
Yeah. You can
Listen,
say the
if they
Chamber of
can,
Commerce.
if they could splash an Obama and do Republican shit while being championed by progressives, then I think they'd take that for sure. But they're never going to risk actually governing on the left, and so I don't know why we are playing the game for them. We should hasten the end of it, and then
what else are we going to do?
The party. We must do this. This is important.
Also,
I just mean hoping voting for a medium Democrat. No, fuck that. We're it's not on us, or we're actively hurting ourselves by supporting Democrats at this point. So
I wholeheartedly agree, and I think that Zoran pulls it off. He ran on housing and transportation, and that's fucking it. And that's something for our local progressives to think about. There is absolutely no shame in directly and flagrantly copying Zoran to the most that you can, given that it's a different state with a different political reality, and different weird rules. But you can't just be we're going to do a rent freeze, because actually you can't, as a local politician, say that in Massachusetts. But you can say, I think it's fucked up. I can't say that I'm going to do a rent freeze. And then, we're starting to ask good questions.
Yeah, why can't we say that? And
why can't we say that?
The legislature to change something.
Right, and why if those are if everything that Zoran is running on is popular enough to get him ahead in the polls, and the only way that he loses is by the Democratic establishment actively working against him, then why are you actively working against him? Why not take the free fucking win?
Right. Yeah.
Their popular ideas. The only even Cuomo, if he wins, his ideas aren't popular. People just have this idea about he's more I don't even know. I don't even really understand what the fucking upside for him is. He's gonna walk. Any Democrat is gonna walk through the general on this one. That's again why the primaries in Massachusetts, state positions, are more important than the general. It's the same deal there.
Yeah.
If the guy is more popular overall, then just go with it.
Right.
Unless you're secretly Republicans.
Which, I mean, yeah.
Yes, they are. Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, I had a really long discussion with my mom after the No Kings protest, and she was just curious, she was wondering why there was so few young people there in general.
Yeah.
And she's just, my mom's the first person I ever heard say free Palestine. My mom is she holds strong ideals, even if she's, sometimes a regular white lady, just in culture,
Mm-hmm.
And we were talking about it, and I was like, well, I I really do think that like you have to look at it from the perspective of people that are my age or younger, for the most part. What do they really have in common with the people that organize and mostly attend the No Kings protests? Like,
Yeah.
very little, because the realities of their lives are very, very different from each other, and it's been proven time and time again over even just the last 5 years that like when push comes to shove, old crackers from Holden and Grafton don't really have our backs, and so why would you willfully dox yourself at a function like that when you know that the real change is only going to come from doing something that is like much like, one, more intense, and two, that the people at the No Kings protest are not going to want to participate in and are going to actively work against, when they actually see it coming. And while I am glad that so many people were a part of those protests, and it was great to see, and I haven't heard anybody saying like it sucks that they happened. It's like, it's great that they happened, but it's not like, it's not our scene for the most part. And I wonder how many people, because my mom, like I said, is very much like aligned politically with me, but if she doesn't recognize that, I wonder how many people don't even like recognize the massive like split in like generations that's going on, even with people that agree politically for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, what I'm saying is, get your kit ready. Make sure that you're, comfortable leaving your phone home. And if Andrew Cuomo wins, I think we gotta escape from New York, the island of Manhattan. Turn it into an open air prison. Drop the president there, and then I think, have Ernest Borgnine drive a taxi. I think it could be great.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm shutting my balls off, and I need to get off of this computer for a little bit, I think.
Yeah, we're at 45 reporting, and Zoran's still the split, still 43 to 35. So with third place being Brad Lander at 12%, who presumably his support would go to Zoran in the next ballot. So yeah, let's end it there for tonight, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. It was great to be back. I love to see everybody. We're off for 2 weeks, I think, after this.
Yep.
Is that correct?
I believe so, yes.
So everybody stay cool, stay blessed, really.
Just really just stay blessed.
And stay tuned. Follow me on Instagram at Bryan_O'Donnell. I will tell you which bus routes I'm driving the next 3 days, so that you can come ride the bus with me.
Nice.
If you like. I do a lot of Tatnick routes. I like to do Tatnick routes, so come hang out. We could party bus, and then we will see you on a future Tuesday, everybody. Follow at Worcester_sucks. Make sure that you're subscribed to billshaner.substack.com. Where's my graphic? There it is.
Thank you to everyone who resubbed.
Hey, 5 years.
Everyone
no
who
fucking joke.
resubbed. 5 years. I haven't. Well, let me check. Right? This is important because this is the week where I either have a crisis where I get a bunch of unsubscribes. Nope, I'm coasting. Still.
Hey, baby, if we love to coast.
down 5 over last 30 days. I will take that.
That's nothing after all the shit you said this month.
Yeah, that's nothing. That's nothing. Thank you to everyone who resubscribed and all the new people who've been checking it out. Really appreciate it.
Bill, sincerely, congrats. 5 years is amazing. It's been a great ride. I remember the day that you launched it, how excited I was. and it's been phenomenal. I'm very, very, very proud to see all the stuff that you've done in the last 5
thanks,
years.
dude. Appreciate that.
Congrats, everybody. If you're not subscribing, then make sure you're subscribed, because he's only going to do weirder shit with more money.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Honestly what it's all about. So subscribe to us here on Twitch, so we can get dumber. We did a test this weekend of streaming the Top Dog, which the Wi-Fi wasn't working. We knew it kind of wasn't going to be, but we ran a 4-camera live stream at a live event, and the recording of it looked great. It's gone. It's a choppy mess on YouTube, but the switcher works, the broadcast works, the technology is great.
Damn, I didn't know you guys were running that. That's sick.
Yeah, we just decided to do it in secret just to kind of see.
It looked very professional.
Yeah, and if it wasn't 100 degrees out, then I think it would have gone better too. But in studio now, we have a very good setup. We can run a 4-camera live. So look for that to be a part of more dumb stuff that we do very soon. So follow us on WCT3K on Instagram as well. Follow at Woon Any Comedy. We have a bunch of great stuff coming up. I will say in July, we have fundraiser shows. We're starting a new series called from Woot and Annie called Political Action Comedy. We're doing a fundraiser for Caden Davis, which we're very excited about. We're doing a fundraiser for Rob Bellata, which we're very excited about. So stay tuned for those flyers to drop any moment, those show announcements. We got some great shows. So we appreciate all the support. We love to see you guys. Hot Dog Safari is coming up on August 16th, so it's going to be a great summer. And we will see you guys very soon. We love you.
Have a great night.
Good night, everybody. Stay cool.
Bye.
Bye.